Another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cams. Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope. Today's podcast, we have a lot to talk about. There is a number of files that we're going to be jumping into. Before we jump into these files, we're going to do a recap and what's going on in the Mustafa Al Jazari case. Mustafa Al Jazari case is a vehicle accident. Mustafa lost his girlfriend and her 5-year-old baby, Empress, in a tragic vehicle accident. Mustafa was helicoptered to the hospital. Mustafa was in a coma. When Mustafa woke up from a coma, an investigator out of Prince William County, Robert Drum, falsified his statements and turned a vehicle accident into something completely different. This investigator said, "You told me you were arguing with your girlfriend inside the vehicle. You told me you were angry at your girlfriend inside the vehicle." Mind you, this investigator was not expecting that my other brother Muhammad had recorded that phone call conversation. We have evidence that this investigator falsified Mustafa's statements on the police reports. This investigator not only falsified Mustafa's statements, Mustafa never said that. This investigator not only falsified Mustafa's statement on the police report, he falsified the warrant. And that's how he took Mustafa freedom. Mustafa has been held in solitary confinement since April 5th of 2023, in solitary confinement. Now, in the process of us talking about what this investigator did, we wake up to a reality where 6 giant correctional officers enter Mustafa's cell, beat Mustafa. In this video, this is a CCTV video from Prince William County Adult Detention Center. 6 giant correctional officers enter Mustafa's cell, only to come out with an unconscious Mustafa.
دكتور طلال يسلم عليك.
Dr. Talar, how are you, sir? شلونك حبيبي? Allah يسلمك. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this conversation. Dr. Talar, if you'd like to send me a request, I'll bring you in the box. You're a very important part of this conversation. There we go. Dr. Talar, شلونك حبيبي? Allah يسلمك.
Hello, my love.
How are you, sir? Thank you for being here.
Yeah,
Thank you for
hi.
being part of this
How are you,
conversation.
Mom?
We want to thank
Mom, listen.
عليكم السلام دكتور طلال، كيفك؟
حياكم الله اهلا وسهلا.
فيك اكثر دكتور، نحن جدا سعيدين انت الان موجود بالبث معك عمار. اهلا وسهلا بك.
حياكم.
اهلا وسهلا دكتور. الله يسلمك حبيبي. على راسي انت.
خلي الجوال بشكل مستقيم.
No. Well, no, Dr. Talar, we're on YouTube, so
Yeah. Okay.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I want to thank everybody that's joining.
Complete. Yeah.
Allah يسلمك حبيبي. Allah يسلمك. I want to thank everybody that's joining the conversation. I want to thank Dr. Talar. I want to thank Mother for being part of this conversation. This has not been easy on Mother. In the process of us talking about what they're doing to Mustafa and his falsified police report, we wake up to a reality where Mustafa was beaten inside the jail, was abused inside the jail, and denied medical. Now, at the time, they said nothing happened. This is a CCTV video from inside the jail that shows 6 giant correctional officers enter Mustafa's cell, only to bring out an unconscious Mustafa, a half-naked Mustafa, handcuffed behind his back, while a correctional officer hits him on the head and kicks him. Now, they take him from one cell into another cell. In another cell, these are Mustafa's injuries. His head, this is 2 weeks after Mustafa's beating. His head is all bumpy. His arm is 3 times the size of a normal arm. Now, in this CCTV video, they carry Mustafa from one cell, unconscious, half naked, handcuffed from one cell into another cell. In another cell, they beat him, they abused him, and they denied him medical. Now, we filed a civil lawsuit against Jill, and we're going through litigation, and more videos are going to be released as the lawsuit continues. Mustafa is currently representing himself pro se. The lawyer that will...
عمار
Yes, sir.
عمار
Yes, sir.
خليك بين كل فقرة وفقرة، افتح المجال للمشاهدين الآن الموجودين ويانا يقدر يصعد ويسأل سؤال.
Exactly. Thank you for pointing that out. I have a habit of taking over the conversation, Dr. Talar. I have a habit of just taking over the conversation. Please join the box. Cut through my conversation. And if you have any questions, you can join the box, or you can be on YouTube under Not Another Boring Podcast. You can write a comment, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. Now, the lawyer that we had for Mustafa that was filing a civil lawsuit was active, was public, and publicly came out and released these jail videos. Now, the county came after her hard, and they threatened her that they were going to remove her license, and she got scared and no longer is representing Mustafa. Instead, she filed a civil lawsuit against me and is actively coming after me to satisfy this county so they don't remove her bar license. Now, we're in active litigation with that lawyer, and I have evidence that everything she says is a lie. And she's doing the county's bidding by attempting to come after me because she's being threatened by the county. This is a file. A lot of conversations that I've had with this lawyer. Now, we're going to be public with these recordings that will show and demonstrate that this lawyer is actively lying to the court in an effort to protect herself, line herself with the county so the county doesn't go after her. Now, her being a lawyer, she's an officer of the court. That officer of the court lied to the court. And not only did she lie in Warren County in circuit court, we find out that she lied to federal court. This is a file where she submitted a number. She submitted a motion, and she told federal court the same lies that she said in circuit court in Warren County. Now, this lawyer is in trouble. She's in trouble because not only do you have prosecutors in circuit court looking at what she said, she has federal prosecutors that are tracking this case. And I'm writing a motion, and I'm submitting my evidence that she lied to the court. An officer of the court lied to the court. This is a whole entire notebook of recording that I have that will demonstrate that this lawyer flat out lied. We're in active litigation. But I'm here to tell Elaine, I hope you're listening. I know your lawyer is. You're going to jail, ma'am. You're going to jail. Not any jail, federal jail. You've got federal prosecutors looking at this. And by the way, if that's not enough, what I'm actually in the process of doing is I'm putting a subpoena for your cell phone. Can't wait for court. So a recap of Mustafa Al-Jazari case. It's a vehicle accident, a tragic vehicle accident, and the county falsified every police report. And they went further and they sealed off the body cams, the documents, the dash camera that's in Mustafa's car. Mustafa had a dash camera. They sealed off the dash camera, but we're in possession of every piece of evidence that's in evidence.com. Anything in the Mustafa Al-Jazari file, I have it. And we're actively leaking it on the internet. And this file, these body cams and documents, show that this police department flat out falsified Mustafa Al-Jazari case. This is a vehicle accident. It's on dash camera. It's a vehicle accident. The county muted, cut the dash camera, staged the vehicle, and falsified the police reports. This is terrifying. That a county engage in this level of police misconduct. And they're in hot waters because we're in possession of the files. And this community is watching what's coming out of Prince William County. Now, we also have, Dr. Talar, we also have the recording from inside the courts. So you'll get to hear, this community is going to hear the proceeding of the prosecutor, what the prosecutor is saying in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, what the judge is saying in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. And the community is going to see how this prosecutor is flat out lying about Mustafa. You're going to have the body cams. You have the body cams. They're being leaked out all over the internet. You have the document. And now you're going to hear what the prosecutor is talking about. And every time we go on this podcast, I tell you, you have a choice. You can listen to the prosecutor and the Commonwealth Attorney, Amy Ashworth, who tell you, I'm not giving you the dash camera. I'm not releasing the body cam. I'm not releasing any document. I'm not releasing anything to you. That's what the Commonwealth Attorney tell this community. And you should take her word for it because she's the Commonwealth Attorney. She's the government. That you're supposed to just blindly believe her. You have that choice. Or you can join this podcast. And I'm here to tell you, you do not have to take my word for it. I'm going to give you the body cam. I'm going to give you the dash camera. I'm going to give you the document. And I'm going to let you hear the prosecutor and the judge inside the court. And you tell me this is not a vehicle accident. That they falsified every police report in the Mustafa Al-Jazari file. And in the process of us talking about it, this is what they're doing to Mustafa. Under the watch of Commonwealth Amy Ashworth. Now, why do I say under the watch of Commonwealth Amy Ashworth? Because she's a jail board member. She holds 2 positions in our county. She's a Commonwealth Attorney, but she also is a jail board member. She sits on a board who's the highest authority to overlook what goes on inside this jail. Any abuse that happened inside of our jail, we are referred to a board comprised of Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, she's a jail board member, the Chief of Police, Peter Newsham, Sheriff Glenn Hill, and Human Rights Commission, Raul Torres. Now, the problem here is, it's a conflict of interest. How is it possible that you're the Commonwealth Attorney, you're prosecuting individuals, but yet is there to protect those inmates that you're prosecuting? And if you don't see a conflict of interest, this is a conflict of interest. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, it's in her best interest to, when inmates are abused in our county jail, now mind you, these are pre-trial detainees. They haven't had their day in court. They're pre-trial detainees. They're waiting to get their day in court. This is a county jail. Her job is to protect these inmates. Well, how is she protecting these inmates if every time they're abused, she looks the other way? I mean, when inmates are beaten by correctional officers, when they're denied medical, they're abused, it's in her best interest to look the other way. Why is that? You ask, why is that? Well, I tell you, because that's how she's securing prosecutions. Amy Ashworth, by the time inmates are so abused in our county jail, that by the time she hands them a plea deal, they're begging her to get me out of here. And she ends up prosecuting them with a plea deal. So she looks the other way. It's a conflict of interest. The Chief of Police, Peter Newsham, in cases of excessive force, police misconduct, abuse by the police, He's not going to look into those police officers when we tell him, he's on a jail board, when we tell him, sir, this inmate has been abused. He's less likely to look at this inmate because then he's going to have to hold his police officers accountable. And we have files on this. We have the file of Juan Campos, an 18-year-old that was found unresponsive 9 days into his incarceration. And we have evidence where a correctional officer unalived this inmate inside the jail. And before they brought him into jail, the police have beat this inmate so bad that, and instead of taking him to the hospital, they brought him to a county jail and covered his window, put him in solitary confinement without medical. And a correctional officer beat this inmate, unalived this inmate. The next day, they found him unresponsive. Now, when we go to the jail board, who the chief of police sits on, the chief of police looks the other way because his officers beat up this inmate before they took him into jail. It's a conflict of interest. When we tell this chief of police, Peter Newsham, about Mustafa, his police officer falsified the police reports. He looks the other way. This is a conflict of interest. And we have multiple files where this is a conflict of interest. Now you talk about the Sheriff Glen Hill, who sits on a jail board. It's a conflict of interest because who essentially we're complaining to is the abuser. On his watch, his correctional officer took out an inmate. Mustafa was carried unconscious from one cell into another cell. And they were still hitting him on video. Hit him on the head, kick him while he's unconscious, half naked. He looks the other way because his correctional officer have to be held accountable, and he's not doing it. Now, outside looking in at this jail board, it looks perfect. You've got so many badges and uniform that there is no doubt that they're taking care of inmates. But when you look at them under a microscope, you see so much conflict of interest that no one is taking care of these inmates, these individuals that I remind you are pre-trial detainees, have not had their day in court. Most of these inmates in our county jail have not had their day in court. Mustafa Al-Jazari, his preliminary hearing was suspended. He had not a preliminary, he didn't have a preliminary hearing. How is that possible? How could you charge someone with a crime and then not hold a preliminary hearing? Under Amy Ashworth, she suspended the preliminary hearing because there is no evidence. The evidence, every piece of evidence showed this is a vehicle accident. So what does she do? She suspends the preliminary hearing. So what you have is a Mustafa that's sitting in a county jail without a preliminary hearing, without a trial for over 2 years. And they just pushed his trial all the way to October. So now it's going to be 3 years by the time we get to trial. If they're going to have trial, if they're not going to push it even further. Why are they pushing these trials further and they're not taking Mustafa to court? One, they're terrified not to put his evidence on their record. I've never seen a prosecutor that screams Mustafa is guilty in court, but is terrified to look at the evidence. This prosecutor is terrified from the dash camera, is terrified from every piece of evidence that's in this file. I want to backpedal just a little bit. I want to thank Paul. Thank you for being here, sir. Is that Paul?
How are you guys?
Is that Paul? Do I recognize you
Paul.
from Paul? How you doing, brother? Thank you for being here.
Good. I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I did a lot of time in prison. I got up to over 23 years in the New York State prison system. I worked in law libraries over the many years. What has he put in a demand for a trial?
Well, the problem is every time trial comes up, they push it further, and the evidence is not being put on the records. Now,
Okay.
What am I talking about with the evidence not being put on the record? Now, Mustafa's vehicle, the police mechanic inspected Mustafa's vehicle, and they found brake failure. Now, this is the body cam that they sealed, by the way. They sealed from this community but we have it. And this community is watching the police mechanic inspect the vehicle and find brake failure.
Didn't engage.
brake did not engage. Now, we paid $5,000 to have our own expert. By law, you can have an expert to go in and inspect the vehicle. Now, there is a judge order to allow this individual to inspect the vehicle. Now, in the discovery, it shows that the police, that this specialist went out and was allowed to inspect the vehicle. That's what the discovery shows, the written part in the discovery. Now, we have a body cam where the police, the same investigator that falsified Mustafa's statements, who we have evidence, a recording of the conversation, that falsified the police report, is telling this individual, this inspector, he's telling him, you're not allowed to inspect the vehicle. Even though in the discovery it says they've allowed him to inspect the vehicle, violating a judge order. Now, on body cam, you see that this inspector, independent inspector, is not allowed to look at the vehicle, and instead, he's not allowed to touch the vehicle, even though there's a judge order that tells him he can inspect the vehicle. Just took pictures. He has a machine, I think it's called, I don't know, it has a term, a name, that they measure a couple of things, blah, blah. The written report, where is the written report? The defense attorney at the time, who took all of our money, apparently has a relationship with the investigator. I have body cam where they're conspiring against Mustafa. I have evidence that this investigator, this lawyer that took our money, is working with the investigator that falsified the police report. He told that independent expert not to write a written report. When we have phone call conversation with the defense attorney, he's telling us that we're waiting for the written report. Where is the written report? Why is this county terrified from inspecting Mustafa's vehicle? Now, I'll tell you what we're finding out. I have the discovery. I have the data of the computer inside Mustafa's vehicle that showed that Mustafa's foot was on the brake the whole entire time. They inspect the vehicle and they found brake failure. The vehicle dropped from 55 to 35. 2 calipers, the passenger front, the passenger back, did not engage. The driver front, the back passenger worked. So only 2 calipers would work. Now, the main investigator gets on a stand and says there are no brake marks from Mustafa's vehicle. That Mustafa never hit the brake. Now, this is in circuit court. This is the main investigator taking the stand, and I have a recording, by the way. I have a recording of the proceeding.
Well, can I say one thing before you go on?
Yes, sir.
If the car had ABS, you wouldn't have skid marks either.
Well, Mustafa, when he hit the brake, the vehicle would vibrate and wouldn't stop. It dropped from 55 to 35. Now, what this investigator did, he got on the stand and he said Mustafa never hit the brake, even though the computer inside the vehicle showed that Mustafa's foot was on the brake the whole entire time. The vehicle dropped from 55 to 35. Now, this is where it gets really terrifying. The investigator on the stand said there are no brake marks on the roads. Now tell me why, when I open the file, the discovery file, I have pictures. I have pictures of Mustafa brake before the vehicle ended up on the other side.
Wow.
Pictures from the investigator. The investigator has a Nokia camera that he took pictures of the scene. I have those pictures. And it's unique. The brake mark is, since there's only 2 calipers that work, there's only 1 skid mark. And this is consistent with everything that we're finding in this file. Mustafa hit the brake, only 2 calipers worked, and there are brake marks. I mean, talk about catching your hands in the cookie jar. I have the evidence. That's why this county is terrified. And by the way, this is only one piece out of the whole entire conversation. I want to thank Muhammad for joining this conversation. Muhammad is my brother. Mustafa's older brother. Muhammad, thank you for being here.
There's the skid mark.
There is the skid mark.
What I
So
learned
I'm going to
over-
show you the skid mark.
You gotta look.
Can you see it?
Wow.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. What if I play the audio for you?
Here, swipe left.
I saw it. I saw the video. I saw everything.
Okay.
I
I'm going to
got
play the
video.
audio of the investigator that says there are no skid marks. I mean, Mustafa's bond was revoked because of this investigator's testimony. This is another picture, a drone footage.
Wow.
Okay, this is a drone footage from the police. Now, by the way, I have all the pictures they took. Anything in evidence.com, I have it. Now, Mustafa's bond was revoked because of this investigator's testimony. It gets worse. Mohammed, I want to thank you for being here. Mohammed, thank you for being here. This is a microphone, all for you. Now, I'm going to remind you. I have a habit of taking over a conversation. You have your own microphone. If you want to cut into my conversation, please, for the love of God, do so. I want to thank my niece, my 40-year-old niece, Susie. She's all dressed up. I think she's going to be part of the podcast. Beautiful. Paul, thank you for being here, sir. Amy, Casey,
What I've learned over
Talar.
the years also
Yes, sir.
is that if somebody's fighting a trial, they usually take them to trial within 1 year. And if they
6
fail
months.
to do that,
6
that means
months.
one thing. That means they have no evidence to convict.
6 months. Paul, 6 months. Within 6 months, you're entitled to a speedy trial. Mustafa has been sitting in a county jail without a trial for over 2 years now.
And he's never waived his right.
And he never waived his speedy trial.
Let me tell you something about the law that a lot of people don't know. Yes,
Yes, sir.
you have 90 days. They have 90 days to take you to trial. But you can put in what's called a demand for a trial demand,
Yeah.
and they have 30 days.
Well, the problem here is, it's not only they're delaying the trial, is they're preventing the evidence from being on the record. This prosecutor is terrified that a full report of this vehicle is going to be put on a record. I mean, your own mechanic is saying that this vehicle had brake failure. Your own mechanic inspected this vehicle and said there is brake failure. The vehicle would not come to a complete stop, even though he's hitting the brake. They're terrified that this is going to be on the record. 2, and this is where it gets more disturbing. For 2 years, they said that this dash camera does not have audio. Mind you, this Mustafa had a dash camera inside his vehicle. He's had it since 2018. Mustafa had a giant lawsuit against the police for violating his right, and it's over $500,000 lawsuit. So the lawyer at the time told Mustafa, you're suing the biggest gang in America. You're gonna get retaliated against. Put a dash camera inside your car. So Mustafa went out and went to Best Buy and bought the best dash camera. I mean, this is a Rexon dash camera. It's a $500 dash camera. It shows the outside view and it shows the inside of the vehicle. And it has audio. Now, the police department tell you there is no audio. As a matter of fact, they went as far as said, we hired a lip reader. So one, they falsified Mustafa's statement in the inside the car. They said, you told us you were arguing inside the vehicle. You told us you were angry at your girlfriend inside the vehicle. Mind you, the dash camera showed there is no argument. I mean, there is no argument. When you watch that dash camera, by the way, a dash camera that has not been released by our Commonwealth attorney, by our police department. They're terrified to release it. But we have it, we put it on the internet, and the community is watching, and they're horrified. Where is this goddamn argument? There's no argument inside the car. What they've done is they mute the dash camera, they cut the dash camera before impact, and we have evidence that there are 17 frames missing from the view facing inside the car. What am I talking about? Before the camera cuts off, now this dash camera records in 1 minute increments, and we have 1 minute. I have the whatever they put in evidence.com, they subpoenaed, the police department subpoenaed for some reason, and I'll go into details why they're not putting the full SD card on their record in evidence.com. They're only putting from the SD card. By the way, this dash camera records days, weeks. I mean, it's a very large SD card, and the camera continually records. This is a very sophisticated dash camera. So you have Mustafa, the day of the accident, the day before, and it goes on. But the police department refused to put that in evidence.com. Refused to put it in Mustafa's file. And I'll go into why. The police department, this dash camera records in 1 minute increments. And just before it cuts off, there is one file that's 8.3 seconds long. It's supposed to be a full minute. But, the disturbing part is, how does a dash camera cuts off before impact? Now, when we watch this dash camera, the dash camera cuts off before impact. Now, it gets more disturbing because the outside view is at 8.3 seconds and the inside view stops at 8.0. Now, this is one computer. The dash camera has one computer, the camera facing outward and the camera facing inward. So if it were to stop, let's say we go with the narrative of the police department, that for whatever reason, this camera magically turned off before impact. A camera, there's no way, it's common sense. There's no way a dash camera cuts off before impact. Unless you cut the camera. You, the police department, cut the camera. Let's go with that narrative, that for whatever reason, the camera cuts off. How is it possible to have 17 frames missing from the inside view in this dash camera? It just doesn't happen. And what they're attempting to do is all over the news, they're saying Mustafa did not have a full facial reaction. That's not true. When you watch the dash camera, you see Mustafa stick out his tongue in panic. His jaw is wide open, reacting to the vehicle accident. Watch the dash camera, put it in slow motion, and tell me the man is not in panic mode. Now, just before they cut the camera at 8.0, but the outside frame, the police department is so incompetent that even when they cut the camera, they cut it by seconds. If you cut it by seconds, you're going to have missing frames. They did not cut it by frames. They cut the inside, 17 frames missing. So the outside's at 8.3, the inside at 8.0. This is evidence that they cut this dash camera. If there's not evidence that it cuts off before impact, this is clear evidence that they cut the camera. Now, even though they cut the camera, you can still clearly see that Mustafa is panicking. The question is, what would satisfy this police department that this is a vehicle accident? Do you want him to throw his hands in the wheel and this is the kind of panic that you want? He's in the middle of a vehicle accident. Now, the prosecutor in court lie and tell the judge, on the record, by the way, I have her voice. She says Mustafa steered the vehicle, jerked the vehicle into oncoming traffic. That is not true. Mustafa takes a lane.
She was holding his hand.
She's holding his hand.
Yeah.
They're bracing for impact. They're holding hands. And you see his hands, the wheel. He's not jerking the road end. There is nowhere to go. There's a vehicle on his right. He can't get back into traffic. He hits the brake. The vehicle does not stop. It goes from 55 to 35. Where do you want him to go? There's a medium in front of him. A vehicle on his right wouldn't let him go in. The vehicle would not stop. And if you see his wheel, he's not jerking into oncoming traffic. No, he ends up in oncoming traffic. And what does he do when he ends up in oncoming traffic? According to the investigator himself, the investigators say, on the scene, I have the body cam, he said Mustafa cleared all the vehicles, made it all the way to the other side, and the SUV turned into him. The SUV, the computer inside the vehicle, showed that she never hit the brake. She never hit the brake. She was speeding, never hit the brake, and turned into Mustafa. Now, why did she do that? Apparently, the paramedic on scene is describing her being a PLS patient. And if you look up what a PLS condition is weak motor function in your lower extremities, weak motor function in your upper extremities. She's talking about being on heavy medication. The bottom line is the computer inside her vehicle showed she never hit the brake and she was speeding. And the investigator says that Mustafa cleared all the vehicle. Now, he did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. And the problem here is, if you're going to walk away with anything, the question is, what would satisfy this police department that this is a vehicle accident? He hit the brake, There's brake failure. He avoided every vehicle. There is nowhere to go. He's not speeding. His toxicology reports show no alcohol, no drugs. What would satisfy this police department that this is a vehicle accident? Nothing. And when you find out that he was engaged, that
The only
Mustafa
time it
was
satisfied
engaged,
them is if nobody died. Then it would be a regular accident.
this is a tragic vehicle accident. Mustafa lost his family in this vehicle accident. Woke up out of a coma, helicopter to the hospital. And we have evidence that they falsified his statements to the police reports. We have evidence that they played with the evidence. And
Look at this. Look, take a look at this.
yes, sir.
So I'm on Rexing. It's the camera he had is it's called a V5
Yeah.
Rexing camera. Okay, and this is what it specifically says about the camera's internal battery.
محمد وين الايباد محمد؟ او التابلت؟
So this, I'm just gonna read it. Okay, from the Rexing website. If you go to RexingUSA.com, you look up Mustafa's dash cam, which is a V5. It says the V5 is intended to be used while connected to a sustained source of power. The internal battery provides the V5 with the ability to record while disconnected from power, but only for up to a few minutes. For this reason, it is best reserved for emergency situations. So if the police department is claiming that this dash cam was disconnected and that the power had turned off, well, I mean, the company's own website claims that this has
محمد
نعم دكتور.
اذا عندكم صور للسياره وضحوها بشكل اوضح.
يا مو صراحة بس كتابة هاي.
الايباد وين هو الايباد؟
الايباد ده يستخدمه هو طالع بيه لايف.
اوه
No, Dr. Talal, we'll post.
الصورة بشكل اوضح.
We'll post that document. We'll post
You can
it.
put this up to the camera.
Okay. All right. So this is the dash camera. Okay.
Okay, if
So
you go to
this is the dash camera.
RexingUSA.com, okay, you can learn about this dash cam and how it operates. Now they claim that the power cord was severed, that it was unplugged. Okay, but if you scroll down to the section that says what is the internal battery
You're talking
used
about
for?
Chad Mason claiming in court that the wire was severed.
That's what he claims.
Now the question is, how is it that the wire is severed if Mustafa clearly in the dash camera you can visibly see Mustafa's hands, you can see Dorothy's hands, so there is no way that you can say that Mustafa or Dorothy severed the wire, and the camera cuts off. You can't say it was severed because of from the airbag, because the camera cuts off before
Prior to the
airbag deploying. So, how is this wire severed? Now we have reason to believe that Chad Mason severed the wire.
Pulled this wire, and the reason why we say that is because there's an officer, Margiotto. What's his name?
Let me pull up the
Andy Margiotto. Okay, he was the first officer on the scene. He has a statement that is in the discovery where he says that at the time of the accident, when it happened, he was the first on the scene. He was still in uniform. He still had his body cam rolling, or he activated his body-worn camera, and that after talking to Drum, they gave him a link to upload this body cam to evidence.com. Now, we know that this footage does not exist in evidence.com.
And this is a body cam where the officer comes up to the main investigator, Robert Drum, who falsified Mustafa's statement, and gives him the business card for the officer, and he tells him this is the officer that was on scene. That in the discovery,
This is the first officer that responded. So
First guy on scene. Is that the DC cop I saw driving away?
now in the discovery, he said this officer uploaded his body cam that was rolling to evidence.com. Why can't I find this body cam in evidence.com? Commonwealth Amy Ashworth.
Why can't Elaine find this body cam? Why can't Blake? Why can't Casey Stevens?
It's not in the file.
It's not in the file.
It's not in the file. So are you telling me that Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, Prince William County Police Department, actively deleting body cams from evidence.com?
That's what it seems like. If the video is not in evidence.com, and this officer says that the very next day he uploaded his footage into evidence.com. Now, why is this footage so important? Well, Lieutenant Andy Margiotta says he was the first person to approach the vehicle after the accident with his body-worn camera activated.
He made contact with Dorothy. He made contact with 5-year-old Empress. And he made contact with Mustafa.
With Mustafa. Now, his body cam should see the inside of Mustafa's car at whatever, 6:36 when the accident happened. He was the first officer on the scene. Okay? Now, you look at Chad Mason's body language when they're talking about the dash cam wire being cut or pulled. Chad Mason, when Officer Drum and I think it was Casey Fines, they're asking, is there any other videos from the scene? He says, nope, there's no other cameras. There's a dash cam though. And then he says, but the wire's cut.
And then he immediately says, I'm hungry. Did you guys eat? Immediately changes the conversation.
Right away.
You're telling me,
like,
a major vehicle accident where Mustafa is laying in a coma in front of his vehicle. You have 2 fatalities. And the first thing you think about when you're talking about video footage of the accident,
he's hungry.
You're hungry? I mean, I have that body cam. I mean, it just looks weird. It's weird. Suspicious. It's disturbing.
I mean, where is this evidence? Where is this body cam? Where is Lieutenant Andy Margiotta, a DC officer? Where is his body cam? That body cam is going to answer a lot of questions.
I mean, specifically when you were talking about the police department failed to airlift Dorothy, Mustafa's girlfriend. The police department failed to airlift 5-year-old Empress. And instead airlifted Mustafa. I mean, Mustafa's been sitting in solitary confinement for over 2 years. He says, why did you not airlift my family? And that video is mysteriously missing. And Mustafa's being charged with.
And Chad
all
Mason
of a sudden, it's not a vehicle accident.
Chad Mason at some point is asking the paramedic that's inside the ambulance with Mustafa. He says, does he need airlift? And the paramedic says no. So the question is, why wasn't this helicopter utilized for Empress? Okay, she's a child. She's going straight to the ICU. Yet they transport her in an ambulance to an hour away
By the
hospital.
way, the paramedic said they're both stable. So why would you not airlift?
Why would you not airlift Empress?
Especially when you have a helicopter.
Or why would you not airlift Dorothy?
Yep.
I mean, either one of them.
Yep.
Why not airlift them? If they're saying, if the paramedic is telling Chad Mason that Mustafa doesn't need airlift, why did they not utilize that helicopter to transport someone that was in a more serious condition?
I mean, this case gets more disturbing. So that's what I'm gonna play the dash camera from Investigator Drum, the one that falsified the statement, when he called Rexon dash camera technical support, and we get to hear what technical support has to say about their dash camera. I mean, one thing that you want to focus on when you're listening to this body cam is the police department say there is no audio, that this dash camera does not have audio, even though it has audio.
It's got audio.
Now, why is it that when Robert Drum, the investigator that falsified the police report, his first question is not asking about the audio? He doesn't even ask about the audio.
Never mentions
it. Why? I'll tell you why. Because when you open the file in the discovery, you see that Officer Zymus with Prince William County Digital Forensic says, that's the one that handled the dash camera, says this dash camera has audio. I have a document that they admit that this dash camera does have audio, and the audio is on the SD card that they're in possession of. Let's listen to that body cam. There we go.
Wait.
But yeah, so on the camera itself, on what you see when we pull it up, it have the GPS coordinates at the bottom. Those don't change, and then the speed limit in the bottom right-hand corner stays at 77, even when he stopped and driving, and we can't figure out why.
Okay. So there could be a couple things with the GPS. There is a way in the settings, right, to basically increase or decrease the speed.
Okay.
But it's interesting.
I want to pause this really quick. Halfway through the podcast, we're going to be jumping into another file. We're going to step aside from the Mustafa Al-Jazari file, and we're going to be jumping into the Philip Brown file. We're going to have his mother on this podcast. That mother is not being heard in our community. What they're doing to her son is falsifying evidence in his file, and the media is complicit in protecting Commonwealth Amy Ashworth by allowing her to get away with it. And it seems to be a common theme in Prince William County and city of Manassas, where families are not being heard. The media is complicit, and there is no outlet to be able to voice out these problems. So halfway through the podcast, we're going to be, the mother of Philip Brown will possibly join this conversation.
Telling me that the coordinates don't change at all. That could just be something with the firmware on the camera. I'm not sure, I'm not sure if his has been, updated to a newer version or anything like that, but that could just be an issue with the firmware. Maybe it just hasn't been updated in a while, and it just gets stuck on, whatever miles per hour or coordinates are, like whatever it's set to basically in the settings, which can be adjusted possibly with the speed adjustment.
Okay. Because the date and time looks like it's all
It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that could just be a firmware.
See, he
issue.
never mentions. He says the date and time seems to be okay. He never mentions that there's no audio.
I mean, wouldn't you think that's the first thing you talk about when the police department is telling the community that there is no audio on this dash camera?
That should be the very first thing to address. Is that where is the audio to this dash cam?
Well, it hits you home when you find out that Officer Zymus says there is audio, and they have the audio on the SD card.
I mean, not only that, but Casey Stevens says that they figured out the audio to this dash cam.
Let me play Casey Stevens real quick. I have it here. Casey Stevens, the defense attorney that has a relationship with the investigator, says, this is what Casey Stevens says, the defense attorney at the time.
Where is this county supervisor?
Talk about when the police department is telling the community that there's no audio on this dash camera. Okay, I'm going to rewind it just a little bit.
Because he was surprised. He says, "You haven't seen it?" I'm like, "No." And so he describes it to us. And us, meaning me and the expert standing there.
And he's talking about Robert Drum, investigator Robert Drum. The same one that's on the phone with technical support in this dash camera.
What he says is, she is crying. Oh, by the way, he did say that they finally figured out that this thing has audio.
Okay.
And
That they finally figured out this thing has audio.
He has the audio.
And they're developing it.
Now, why is it that why are they telling the community that they're getting a lip reader and the prosecutor has a lip reader? What do you need a lip reader if you have the dash camera?
If you notice, they never mentioned anywhere in the report that there's no audio. It's only
It's never in the report.
It's only being said inside the courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only time the prosecutor will say that the dash cam didn't have audio. It's nowhere in any of the 708-page discovery. It's nowhere in there that there's no audio. Matter of fact, it says there is audio from Officer Zymus and digital forensics, and It's also from Robert Drum, who says, Robert Drum says there's DoorDash videos and they have audio.
But they won't put those on the records.
They won't put the DoorDash videos on the records.
And what they want to do is rely on kids that are 9 and 10 and 14 that they weaponize against Mustafa. What does that mean? I have the forensic interview, the video interview from the kids, Dorothy's kids. Dorothy has a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 14, and a 16 at the time. Now, the 16 lives with her dad, doesn't live there. But the 9, 10, and the 14 lives in the apartment. Mustafa took care of these kids. I have the Google Nest inside the apartment that show it's a beautiful relationship. The kids loved Mustafa. But in the forensic interview, what do the kids talk about? One of the kids says, Mom always told me to trust Mustafa. I always trusted Mustafa. I always loved Mustafa. But the investigators are telling me that Mustafa did this on purpose and left and ran away from the scene, left my 5-year-old baby sister, and if he hadn't ran away, they could have still saved her. Now we know from the body cam that Mustafa was helicoptered to the hospital. Mustafa was in a coma. The police are the one that released Mustafa when he woke up from the coma. No alcohol, no drugs. They released Mustafa. So we know that's not true. But the police are actively lying to kids. Think about it like this. Think about this for a second. A 9, a 10, a 14 that loved Mustafa, but the police are weaponizing to get those kids to hate Mustafa so much and then put them in a forensic interview and ask them, what do you think about Mustafa's driving? What do you think about Mustafa? Well, you just told the kid that he unalived your mom.
Well, the kid also says...
Specifically.
Yeah,
go ahead.
The kid also says that they didn't like Mustafa's driving based on what the neighbor was saying.
Based on the neighbor. Which neighbor? The neighbor that the police department and the Commonwealth attorney who null processed her entire criminal records. The ex-boyfriend who the Commonwealth attorney is now null processing all his criminal record, and he has extensive criminal record, drug charges, gun charges, crazy criminal charges. Those kids were left with with the neighbor and the ex-boyfriend, and with the police department, they're actively weaponizing the kids against Mustafa. Now, why is the Commonwealth attorney now terrified? Because one, we have the forensic interviews, the video interviews, that the kids are saying the police coached us. The police weaponized us. The kids are saying it. And we have the Google Nest videos from inside the apartment that show it's a beautiful relationship. The kids loved Mustafa.
None of these statements. So, for example, when Javen says that the detectives lied to him about Mustafa fleeing the scene of the accident, that's nowhere in any of the reports. I mean, you have to sit there and watch an hour interview with with forensics of this child in order to get that information. None of that information was relayed in any of the reports. So if you look at the prosecutor, they're going to say, we don't watch body cams in every case. Okay, we go by the reports. None of that information is in any of the reports. You have to physically sit there and watch these body cams and watch these videos in order to extract this. I mean, this is the most crucial information.
Now, what's disturbing? Why is this relevant? Why is this important? Why is it a problem that the police department, the Commonwealth attorney, is relying on testimonies of children, a 9, a 10, a 14? Why is it a problem? Kids that have been weaponized against Mustafa. Now, the Commonwealth attorney want to rely on their testimonies when, in fact, the police department admit that they have hours and hours and days of of Mustafa door dashing. Mustafa has a dash camera inside his car. The day before, on and on and on. It's on the SD card. But the Commonwealth attorney and the police department refuse to put those videos on the file, on the record. And instead, they want to ask the kids, how do you think about Mustafa's driving? Is he a reckless driver? Now, why would you ask kids, especially when you have evidence that they've been weaponized against Mustafa, when you have the dash camera that shows Mustafa's driving? Now, before we even go into these videos, you can clearly see the dash camera. That's the one that we've released. The one that from that day, Mustafa's not a reckless driver.
Even the witnesses say.
Even the witnesses.
The police asked some of the witnesses multiple times, was there any erratic driving prior to the accident? And they say no. And that's consistent with the dash cam video.
Are we talking about the same witnesses that Investigator Drum, the same one that falsified the police report, is actively manipulating as he's talking to the witness? And specifically, Elizabeth Lee. Elizabeth Lee says Mustafa did not drive reckless. It looked like he was passing the vehicle in front of him. I saw his brake marks. I saw him hit the brake.
She said, I saw he planted the brakes.
Okay. And the investigator tells her, even though he's the one that took pictures of Mustafa brake marks, he tells her those are not his skid marks.
This is from somebody else that wasn't doing what they're supposed to be doing. Has nothing to do with him.
And then she tells him, I don't understand. Was he drunk? Was he on drugs? He tells her, we're still checking off some boxes, insinuating that Mustafa is on alcohol or is on drugs, even though this investigator has Mustafa's toxicology that show no alcohol and no drugs.
I mean, they held him at the hospital for like 5 hours. And you want to tell us that Robert Drum released Mustafa prior to checking his blood? I find that really hard to believe. The first thing they did was check his blood. And they did it without a warrant. They got the warrant later on, but they checked his blood at the hospital.
Now, let's backpedal. Let's backpedal and listen to.
He used his vehicle.
This is what the.
On April 5th, 2023.
This is what they're telling the community.
Two individuals. Al Jazeera's defense attorney contends his client was trying to pass a car, ran out of room at the intersection, and panicked. He rejects the suggestion the video or the crash victim's words show Al Jazeera would be dangerous if freed on bond.
States nothing about whether or not the deceased thought my client was doing it intentionally. It states that
I'm gonna rewind this just a little bit.
Danger.
Some of what you're
This is
about
what
to
they're telling
see is disturbing.
telling the community on the news.
The look the dash cam video captures on Dorothy Fontaine's face is clearly one of fear in the seconds just before the crash. Her 5-year-old daughter.
I mean, the question is, what kind of look do you want on Mustafa's girlfriend?
No, what kind of look do you want from somebody that's about to get in a car accident? Does she want her to be joyful? Does she want her to have a smile on her face? This is a car accident. Obviously, you're going to be in fear.
And Mustafa, they're saying he had some reaction. Mustafa's tongue is sticking out of inside of his cheek in panic, and his jaw is wide open, and he's reacting to the vehicle accident. Now tell me, why is there 17 frame missing from inside the camera? The camera facing inward, there are 17 frames missing before the camera shuts off. The outside stops at 8.3.
Why would a camera all of a sudden decide not to record anymore? Think about it. And why is it that it took a whole entire year for the prosecutor or the police to mention about Mustafa that he had a dash camera in the car?
I mean, they didn't talk about this dash camera until I released it.
Exactly. Until you released it. There was no mention of a dash cam being in the car for an entire year. He's held without bond.
And then they released, after a whole entire year, in a couple of months, they released a deformed version of a dash camera where they cut 2 seconds halfway through the dash camera, cut 2 seconds toward the end, piece them together, and tell this community this is what happened. So why not release the whole dash camera?
They're taking inside footage, they're taking outside footage from 2 different times, and they're mixing them together to make it look like this is what happened. Okay, they're obviously editing these videos. They're messing around with these videos. Number one, they don't mention that he had a dash camera. And then number two, they don't release the dash cam in full.
Now, I'll tell you why.
Not?
I'll tell you why they won't release the full dash camera. Because in this dash camera, you'll see Mustafa is clean before Dorothy and 5-year-old Empress get in the vehicle. Mustafa is cleaning the inside of the vehicle, is cleaning the outside of the vehicle, and you can see that he's perfuming his seat, his girlfriend's seat, and her 5-year-old baby, Empress. Now, you want to tell me that man is gonna be crashing the vehicle on purpose?
Wait
that's
a second.
That's one.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
The prosecutor in court says that Mustafa was angry at Dorothy and Empress, that he was so angry at them that he specifically left the other kids home, took Dorothy, took Empress, only to commit this crime.
That is not true.
That's what the prosecutor is
But
saying.
that's not exactly. That's not. I have the Google
Now
Nest
you're
videos.
saying he was cleaning her seat prior to her getting in the car? That's not what the narrative was.
I have, it's interesting that she says that in court because the Google Nest videos show that Dorothy is the one that asked Empress to leave. Dorothy is the one that wanted to go to her mom's anniversary that day. Dorothy, it was her idea. Mustafa woke up late. He had different plans, and Dorothy is the one that's asking him to go.
Well, I'll tell you, the prosecutor.
I mean, how could this be premeditated? She's charging him with premeditated.
The
If
prosecutor-
it's Dorothy's idea.
The prosecutor was saying these things back in April of 2023. So Mustafa, when he first went to his bond hearing, this was what the prosecutor was saying. This was prior to you getting a copy of the dash cam. This is prior to you discovering this Google Nest, all these videos from inside the apartment. Now, the Google Nest actually shows the other children giving Mustafa a hug before he left.
Yep.
They're giving him a hug, okay? And days prior, they're begging to go out with them. When Mustafa and Dorothy are about to go door dashing, you have a whole video where Imagine is crying because Dorothy says, "No, you're not coming with us."
And they
That's
want
not-
to
that's-
they want to say that those kids are terrified from Mustafa's driving.
That's-
Then why is the Google Nest video show that they're begging Mustafa to go out with him in the vehicle?
I mean, Imagine is hugging Mustafa. Javen is hugging Mustafa. Empress, right before they leave, Empress is in the room with Mustafa, and he's asking her for a Band-Aid or something. I mean, does that sound like someone, or does that sound like an abusive household? It
Amy
doesn't.
Ashworth, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, your story is not adding up, ma'am.
Her story is falling apart.
Now, let's continue listening to what she's telling the community through the news.
Empress seated just behind her. The prosecutor telling the judge today a lip reader has analyzed the silent video and determined Fontaine is saying no, Empress is in the car.
Now, what's disturbing, she says a lip reader have analyzed the dash camera, and it says, Dorothy says, Empress is in the vehicle. That is not true. I had the discovery, and the discovery show that when NBC4 Julie Carey comes out on the news and says the prosecutor has a lip reader, she lied. The prosecutor never had a lip reader. As a matter of fact, I have the recording of the proceeding inside the court where the prosecutor said, if I get a lip reader, the lip reader is going to say, Dorothy said, Empress. Those are two different things.
So that
If-
bond hearing,
if I get a lip reader and I have a lip reader are two different things. First of all, the prosecutor is not a goddamn lip reader.
Look.
And for her to say that and then NBC4 gaslight the conversation and lie to the community that the prosecutor has a lip reader is a lie.
on the note of the lip reader,
Yeah.
this bond hearing took place in May of 2024. We have the discovery that shows the prosecutor didn't get a lip reader
Until 2 months later.
Until July.
Yeah.
So July of 2024 is when the prosecution got a lip reader to say whatever they're saying here. But in May, she didn't have a lip reader.
But NBC4, Julie Carey comes out and lies to the community and says the prosecutor has a lip reader.
And that's a lie. Well, you have the bond hearing.
I have the audio from the bond hearing,
Okay,
and I'm going to
thank-
release that portion. And
Thank-
you
thanks-
tell me,
thanks-
Julie Carey did. I think we ought to file a lawsuit,
Defamation lawsuit.
defamation lawsuit
Okay.
against Julie Carey.
Now, thanks to the sheriff's office for supplying this recording.
I want to specifically thank the
but we-
deputy sheriffs that are supplying me with the recording from the court proceeding, where now
We're
it's
gonna
not
go-
my word against their
Look,
words.
Look, we're gonna sit down. We're gonna listen to this bond hearing, and people are gonna hear what this prosecutor was saying in court. This is what they're afraid of. They're afraid of people listening to what's happening inside the courtroom, because what's on the reports, what's on the body cams, is not even close to what they say in the courtroom. Okay, in court, the prosecutor gets to lie all she wants, and the judge gives her a free pass. You know, I remember Blake was talking about proffer and how that works. He says when someone proffers something in the court, usually a proffer is when
You have evidence.
no. It's when the lawyer and the prosecutor both agree on what's being proffered. And rather than waste the court's time, let's say there's a video, a body cam video of XYZ occurring on this camera. The prosecutor and the lawyer can both agree. If they're both agreeing, then you can proffer to the courts that this video is going to show X, Y, and
Exactly.
Z.
You have to proffer based on evidence.
Based on evidence, based on agreements of both parties, that this is what the video is going to show. We're not going to waste the court's time by playing the video when we can just agree to the facts. Now, if one party doesn't agree with the statement being made, you can't proffer that in court. You cannot proffer something that's not being agreed on both sides.
What if I give you the audio that Blake is saying to Judge Weimer, Your Honor, this prosecutor is guessing that the lip reader is going to say such and such and such and such. And then he comes out. This is where it gets disturbing. Now, I'm asking questions. For the love of God, someone answer these questions for me. He says in court that the prosecutor is guessing that the lip reader is going to say such and such and such. The prosecutor says, if I get a lip reader. And he comes out on the news and says this.
As the vehicle
He
veers
confirms.
left and into oncoming traffic.
Julie Carey.
That was just one piece of evidence the prosecution presented to try to convince the judge that Mustafa Al-Jazari is too dangerous to be given bond, arguing, quote, this is no different than a situation where you have someone shooting and killing two people. He used his vehicle as a weapon on April 5th, 2023, that resulted in the murder of two individuals. Al-Jazari's defense attorney contends his client was trying to pass a car, ran out of room at the intersection, and panicked. He rejects the suggestion the video or the crash victim's words show Al-Jazari would be dangerous if freed on bond.
States nothing about whether or not the deceased thought my client was doing it intentionally. It states that as she sees oncoming danger, her first thought is, oh no, my daughter is in the car.
Prosecutors also called the
What did he
crash
just
scene
say?
investigator to
Did he just confirm that this prosecutor actually has a lip reader?
I mean, look.
Here, I'm going to play the bond, the portion where Blake says, Your Honor, the prosecutor is guessing. Here,
I'll just say this. At the end of the day, what is the purpose of her trying to say that Dorothy said that? What is the purpose of that? Like, what does that prove? It doesn't prove anything.
It doesn't prove anything.
The video is there.
If my 4-year-old niece is in the vehicle, if you're driving, and Susie is in the car, and then I have my sister-in-law, your wife, sitting in the car, and you're about to get into a vehicle accident, is your wife gonna worry about you? No, the first thing she's gonna worry about is Susie, and she's gonna say, Susie's in the vehicle. Does that mean that you're crashing the vehicle on purpose? No, it means that she's worried about her daughter.
Especially when you have a dash cam video of the entire incident.
Now, exactly.
You can clearly see there's a car to his right. You can clearly see from the data recorder that he slammed on the brake. To go from 55 miles an hour to 35 in 2 seconds, that's slamming the brake.
Well,
to go 20 miles an hour down in 2 seconds, that's 10 miles an hour per second that you're slowing down.
Yeah.
And you can see the car seat shift forward. You can see everything shift forward prior to Mustafa passing the light. So at the intersection, he slammed the brake. The car didn't stop. You can see the skid marks. The data recorder supports that he was slamming on the brake. Okay, it says emergency brake activated, and it says yes. That's from the data recorder. Okay, Drum says on the scene, he says that she must have turned into him because we can see that where this SUV was driving, you can see the radiator fluid, everything that happens when a car crashes, all the debris that falls from a car is in the lane to the right of the SUV. So that supports that she turned into him. In a moment of panic, she turned into him. You're telling me that this SUV driver is driving, she sees an oncoming car and never hits the brake until the very last minute she turns right?
The paramedic on scene tells Investigator Drum that she's a PLS patient.
She wants her phone because she's a PLS patient.
She's a PLS patient, and if you know anything about PLS, they have low motor function in their upper extremities, their lower extremities. The bottom line is the computer inside her vehicle showed that she was speeding, and she never hit the brake. And Robert Drum says that Mustafa cleared all the vehicle and she turned into him. Now, let's backpedal a little bit. And we're talking about a lip reader, that the prosecutor has a lip reader. Now, the problem with lip readers is if you bring 5 lip readers, all 5 are going to say 5 different things. Now, the bigger problem with lip readers, that the fact that this Commonwealth attorney, this prosecutor, is talking about lip readers, is that Officer Zymas, that when you open the discovery, Officer Zymas says that this dash camera has audio. Officer Zymas is the one that handled the dash camera and is admitting that they have the audio, and the audio is on the SD card. Where is the audio? Let's continue listening to what Robert Drum is talking about when he's talking to technical support with Rexon, the company that manufactures this dash camera. The disturbing part in this conversation is that he never asked about the audio. Well, no wonder you don't ask about the audio, because Officer Zyman says, we have the audio.
Anyway, but usually with those incident videos, usually it'll save it in a separate folder most of the time.
Okay.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that could just be a firmware issue. We could also try possibly
just a little bit.
that could just be something with the firmware.
So he's asking him about
I'm not sure. I'm not sure
the
if
speed.
it's been,
He's asking about the date.
updated to a newer version or anything like that. But that could just be an issue with the firmware.
What you'll hear in this conversation is this investigator is not worried about the audio and is worried about one thing. Does the family have access to this dash camera through an app? Can they access this dash camera? That's disturbing. You're not worried about the audio, but you're worried if anybody else has access to this dash camera.
That's what he's worried
Is
about.
the app downloadable? Can you access it? Is it in the cloud? And can you access this dash camera? Listen, it gets really weird.
Maybe it just hasn't been updated in a while, and it just gets stuck on whatever miles per hour or coordinates are like whatever it's set to basically in the settings, which can be adjusted possibly with the speed adjustment.
Okay. Because the date and time looks like it's all
It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that could just be a firmware issue. We could also try, playing the video on a updated version of the GPS player, maybe to see if that stays the same, or if it fluctuates in the video.
Okay.
That with the GPS player, that might give you a more accurate speed and coordinates.
Okay.
So we could try that. As well. We could try, instead of whatever media player was being used, we could try it on the GPS player and see if it readjusts or anything like that.
Is that downloadable from y'all, or is that something I have to come up and do?
Yeah, that's something you can download. You can get on our website. It's an app that we have available.
Okay.
For those models that have the built-in GPS.
Okay.
And then it'll give you it'll show like a map of where he drove as well.
Okay.
On the top right corner.
Awesome.
So we can try that as well to see if that makes a difference. The other question was about the video, like not showing a few seconds before the incident.
Yes.
Correct. So with these cameras, they have a built-in G sensor. So what typically happens is if the vibration, if it detects the impact or the hard vibration, those videos usually get locked into an emergency folder.
Listen to what the technical support is telling Drum. In case of a vehicle accident, this camera is so sophisticated that in case of a shock, this dash camera will save the file in a separate file. It'll keep the file, but it'll also save the file in a separate file just in case the camera overrides itself, you know, because it's continuous recording. This dash camera has a very large SD card, so it has days on days, days on days, weeks on weeks of recording. Just in case it runs out of file, it doesn't stop recording, it overrides the files. It continues to record. Now, it saves that file because it doesn't want to get rid of that file. It saves it into a separate file. The question is, where is the file from the impact? This is a very sophisticated dash camera that it saves that file. That file is not on Mustafa's evidence.com. Does not exist. It's not there. Police department has it, but they haven't put it on their records. Technical support would go on and tell him, any file that you cannot open, our dash camera is so sophisticated that we're going to get you the file. We're going to be able to open the file. Our dash camera does not have corrupted files. So when Officer Zyma says there's a clear audio track in this dash camera on the SD card, for whatever reason, if they can't open it, technical support will open it for them. Why isn't Drum talking about the audio file, the audio, that Officer Zyma says there's a clear audio track in this dash camera. This dash camera has a clear audio track and it's on the SD card. Why isn't he asking technical support about it? Specifically, when technical support is telling him, give me the files, I'll open them for you.
So that they don't get overwritten when the camera loop records. Because, you know, it'll overwrite whatever footage is there. So sometimes those videos get locked and saved into a separate folder. If not, if the video is there, it probably maybe has a different date or something. Or if it's like a corrupted file that's on there, you know, that could be repaired if anything. But usually with those incident videos, usually it'll save it in a separate folder most of the time.
Okay.
And it'll, yeah.
All right. So we ended up taking all the phones.
So the dash camera cuts off before impact. Technical support is telling him there is no way there are corrupted files. There is no way because of impact we're not going to have footage. This dash camera is supposed to have the full video all the way, and it's going to show you the impact. And if you're telling me there is corrupted files, give me the SD card. Give me the file. I'll retrieve them for you. But Drum never talks about those files. Never talks about the audio. Because they have the audio and they have the file. They have the full dash camera.
And some of the phones were destroyed. The crash was that bad. We got in a couple of phones, and I got to go back through the Cellbrite stuff to see if this guy even has the app on it. I do know that these, I would presume, whatever videos that were on this camera, because he had an SD card in it as well, which is how he got the video.
Yeah.
If those of that video, would that have automatically been transferred to the app or the cell phone that this guy had?
So when somebody wants to save a...
Is that what he's worried about? He doesn't ask him about anything. He asks him, does it go into the cell phone? Is there an app? Can the family possibly retrieve the dash camera with the audio from the cloud? Is this dash camera in the cloud somewhere and they can retrieve it? That's what he's worried about. That's disturbing. That is so disturbing on so many levels.
I mean, we know the facts from this dash cam. We know that Chad Mason admitted in court that him and Drum plugged this camera into their laptop prior to this camera being sent off to forensics. Now, why is that important? It's important because investigator Zymus, who's in charge of forensics, says that her process includes when she gets a digital item to be examined, they make a mirror copy of whatever they received so that they can manipulate the copy and always leave the original intact.
I mean, isn't that standard procedure?
That's their standard procedure.
That's every police department standard procedure.
And when Chad Mason is asked by Blake, did you violate your own department policy with regards to this piece of evidence, this dash cam? Why did you violate department policy? He says, yeah, I did. I did violate department policy. So what?
Now, Mohammed, can you go into detail? Why is it important for the police department to handle evidence and have that standard procedure?
I mean,
Just for
it's-
everybody that doesn't know how things work within the police department.
It's very important because when you get a piece of evidence that you're claiming shows something, the defendant, in this case Mustafa, is entitled to have this piece of evidence examined by an independent expert. Now, Robert Drum and Chad Mason took that away from Mustafa because they admitted on the stand on October 31st, 2024, they admitted that they took this piece of evidence, this dash cam, and they plugged it into their laptop, manipulating the data that's on the original device.
Now, isn't the
You're not supposed to do that.
Isn't the forensic department supposed to mirror the image and the mirror image gets to be manipulated?
So forensics,
Not the original?
forensics receives this dash cam, they make a mirror copy image of whatever's on it. And then they take the original, put it back into evidence. They store it in evidence. And the data that they're manipulating, trying to, whether it's retrieve audio, retrieve video, they're usually working on the mirror image that they've made so that the original is always preserved for the defendant. If they want a independent expert to examine this dash cam, then they have the right to do that. And that original equipment is always not molested by anybody.
So you're telling me, on the record, in circuit court, investigator Chad Mason says, I violated department policy by manipulating the original data.
That's exactly what he said. He said when they got this dash cam in the office, they didn't send it out to forensics. I mean, we see from the discovery that they didn't send it out until April 19th. That's when they sent it out to forensics. But prior to April 19th, they're plugging this dash cam into their personal computers. And they're dragging the files, they're playing the videos, they're possibly deleting the footage.
Now, what's disturbing?
We're saying that someone cut this footage because the camera suddenly stops.
Are we talking about the same investigator who takes the stand and says Mustafa never hit the brake and there are no brake marks from Mustafa? We're talking about that investigator that lied on the stand is now handling the original data.
Exactly. That same investigator who claims that the dash cam's wire is pulled out, okay, that investigator is playing with Mustafa's dash cam, violating the police department policy with regards to handling of evidence. Now, if Mustafa wants to hire an independent expert to come in and look at this dash cam, it's too late because Chad Mason already admitted that they plugged this dash cam into their laptops.
Except they forgot. Well, they were comfortable because this piece of evidence is sealed. The document that says Officer Zymus says there is a clear audio track on this dash camera. They forgot and they were comfortable that this document is sealed. Well, now it's unsealed and is going to be released out to the community. The Officer Zymus, they admit that they have the audio.
Well, so Officer Zymus in forensics says that when she took the videos, played them into Audacity is the program she used, she said she can still see a visible audio track to the videos. So the question is, what did Chad Mason and Robert Drum do to this dash cam to where now they're claiming there's no audio? And why is Robert Drum months later, trying to find out, is there a copy of this file anywhere else? I mean, the only reason why he would be asking that question is if he messed around with the original files and now he's worried if this dash cam has sent a copy to a cloud somewhere that someone's going to retrieve, like Mustafa's family or somebody else is going to later retrieve this file and it's going to show that it does have audio and the police department cut it out.
Well, the disturbing part is technical support from the dash camera tells Investigator Drum, give me the file, whatever file, and I'll retrieve it for you. Our dash camera does not have corrupted file. And investigator Robert Drum doesn't say that I can't open the file, the audio file. I mean, isn't that disturbing? I mean, nowhere in this dash camera does he tell him, oh, we can't play the audio. I have a clear audio record, clear audio file that I can't play. Nowhere he doesn't even talk about it, which leads you to believe they have the audio. They're not worried about the audio.
They have the audio.
And they're hiding the audio. I mean, Officer
They-
Zimus clearly say this dash camera has the audio.
They have the audio. They cut it out from this video, and they uploaded their version to evidence.com. And now they're worried, is there a copy of this original file anywhere else? Because, I mean, why is he really asking? Why is he asking that question? Because we were able to get into Mustafa's iCloud and obtain the Google Nest. You're telling me this police department is that incompetent that they couldn't get into, I mean, they have Mustafa's phone. They have over 1 terabyte of videos, messages, everything on his phone. You're telling me that out of 1 terabyte, they couldn't find out that Mustafa had a Google Nest camera? I mean, we were able to find it. We just logged into his iCloud, and we were able to obtain this Google Nest footage. You're telling me the police department was never able, the police department, after talking to 3 kids, never ever mentioned that Mustafa had a Google Nest camera that the kids would communicate through to Dorothy whenever they would leave the apartment?
They're cherry picking.
You're saying that conversation never came up? That there was a camera inside the apartment? And not only that, but there was, I don't know if anybody has seen those bulb cameras that are everywhere now. Dorothy had bulb cameras.
I will testify. I mean, I'm being
You
called
saw
as a
it
witness.
firsthand.
I stopped at Mustafa's apartment, Dorothy's apartment, a month before the vehicle accident to check on my brother and see, hey, is he okay? Is he doing all right? Where is he? You know, just to say hello. Dorothy, smoked a cigarette with Mustafa in the balcony. I smoked a cigarette with Dorothy in the balcony. Dorothy made me coffee, and she laughed at how I drink my coffee. I told her I drink black, no sugar. And she said she laughed at how disgusting my coffee is. And then I played Uno with Mustafa, Dorothy, and the kids. Jaden's dog was running in the background. Beautiful relationship. I was happy for my brother. Dorothy's telling me about her being a nurse from home. And Mustafa's telling me about his business and how they're both supporting each other and they have all these ideas about making money. Beautiful. And one thing that I can point out when I was at the balcony is there was a bulb camera there. And specifically, Dorothy put that there. I was like, Mustafa, what is that? He said, that's Dorothy's camera. My question is, where is the bulb camera? Where to the police department? Where is the bulb camera? You are charging Mustafa with murder, premeditated.
I mean, you're saying this man is abusing the children.
You're saying Mustafa is abusing the children, right? Where is the bulb camera? Shouldn't that be in evidence.com? It's nowhere to be found. Nowhere. Mustafa's SD card, the day before of him door dashing, is nowhere on evidence.com. Instead, they want to rely on children that have been weaponized by the police department, the ex-boyfriend, and the neighbor. And I have evidence. I have the forensic interview. And while we're on that note,
I mean, isn't there a note? Isn't there a note?
When I said that, when you ran into Julie Carey, and you told her, Julie, I have body cams, documents, forensic interviews that the police department engaged in police misconduct, falsified police reports, what did she tell you? I mean, you have all this evidence.
You're talking about outside the courthouse.
Outside the courthouse. What did Julie Carey tell you?
She was more concerned that you had posted the forensic interview with the children. And my question to her was, are you not angry that the police department have abused these children by lying to them about their mother passing? The police department, the detectives, specifically Detective Romero, who they praised throughout the discovery, they said he did a wonderful job with the children. Well, we now know that Detective Romero or another detective was lying to these kids about the incident surrounding their mother's death. Okay? I'm asking her, are you, I mean, you're more worried about Amar releasing these videos when really you should be more worried about that this police department, these officers specifically, abused these children who just lost their mother, and the police lied to them and told them that Mustafa had done this on purpose, that he had fled the scene, which is a complete lie. I mean, we have the body cams now that show he was airlifted to the hospital. How could you flee the scene of this accident if you're...
So she's gaslighting the conversation. She's gaslighting the conversation because she wants to say Amar is releasing forensic interview of children when the forensic interview, when the blame really should, the question should really be, how could you abuse children? The police department. How could you engage in abusing children, a 9, a 10, a 14, that just lost their mother, that loved Mustafa, and we have evidence that they love Mustafa from the Google Nest. Video of Google Nest, that the police department weaponized kids, forensic interviews that show that the police department engaged in police misconduct and children, abusing children. I mean, this is child abuse. To weaponize children that just lost their mother, take away the person that they love, lie to them about Mustafa. I mean, is that not child abuse? Julie Carey wants to gaslight the conversation and say, those interviews should not be released. Ma'am, I think your question and your blame should point back at the police department and ask them, why did you engage in child abuse?
I'll say this.
Instead, you want to gaslight the conversation and run away from reporting on a story that you've been gaslighting for 2 years. But we have evidence, we have body cams, we have documents that now you refuse to report on it. And instead, I get a text from Julie Carey. She said, I just listened to the rap video. Who created it? Was it a real person? You're worried about a rap video that one of Mustafa's supporters created? This video? Let's play it.
Okay, let me just say this real quick. In September of 2023, we sat down with Julie Carey at a Starbucks in Fairfax for 2 hours. You showed her the dash cam, and you showed her some home videos. We sat down for 2 hours. Now, this was September of 2023. At that time, none of the media outlets have reported that Mustafa had a dash cam in his car. Nothing. None of the reports, none of the written reports from the news, none of the articles, none of the videos, nothing suggested or hinted that Mustafa had a dash cam in his car. Now you're telling this reporter that Mustafa had a dash cam, and I have the video right here. She watched it. She watched the entirety of it. Okay? And she never reported on it. But months later, I mean, remember, this is September of 2023. And it's not until May 3rd of 2024 when Amy Ashworth released like 3 seconds of it.
May 10, 2024.
May 10th. Okay. May 3rd was the original bond hearing. And the second bond hearing was on May 10th. But in May of 2024, when
almost a year later,
when Amy Ashworth releases 4 seconds, this reporter is all of a sudden shocked, talking about there was a dash cam in the car.
I mean, I have evidence that I showed her the dash camera.
You have a reporter who watched this dash cam in its entirety back in September of 2023. Imagine, a whole year prior.
I mean, listen to this
She saw this video and never mentioned it to the media. On the media.
For everybody that's tuning in, they don't have to take her word for it. Listen to what Julie Carey says on the news. A year later, after I sat down with her at Starbucks, me and Muhammad, and we showed her the goddamn dash camera. She says newly released.
New at 5 tonight, a Prince William County judge has changed his mind about giving bond to a man charged with murder for a crash that killed his girlfriend and her little girl.
Prosecutors came to court armed with new details about the crime to persuade the judge to revoke the bond he set just last week. Only on 4, Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Julie Carey reports, prosecutors even hired a lip reader to figure out what the alleged victim was saying on silent dash cam video just before the fatal crash. We warn you, some of what you're about to see is disturbing.
Listen to the next part. How they dramatize that she just watched the dash camera. She just got the dash camera. This is May 10, 2024. When did we sit down with her in Starbucks?
In September.
In September 2023.
The same time the FBI was visiting him at the jail.
The look the dash cam video captures on Dorothy Fontaine's face is clearly one of fear in the seconds just before the crash. Her 5-year-old daughter, Empress, seated just behind her. The prosecutor telling the judge today a lip reader has analyzed the silent video and determined Fontaine is saying, no, Empress is in the car, as the vehicle veers left and into oncoming traffic. That was just one piece of evidence the prosecution presented to try to convince the judge that Mustafa Al-Jazari is too dangerous to be given bond, arguing, quote, this is no different than a situation where you have someone shooting and killing 2 people. He used his vehicle as a weapon on April 5th, 2023 that resulted in the murder of 2 individuals.
Why is Julie Carey not asking the right questions? Why is she not asking the more serious questions?
Oh, this is better. You're gonna love this.
Why is she not asking?
By the way, this is what I wanted to play.
Look, why is she not asking the police department? Where is the audio? Where's the audio that investigator Zymus says that this dash cam does have? Why is she not questioning that? It's on their police reports.
We have a document that says Officer Zymus have the audio. Shouldn't Julie Carey go back to the police department and ask
pressure on them?
You put pressure on them. You told us that you have a lip reader. Why do you have a lip reader when
your own investigator
saying there's audio?
Exactly.
I mean, listen to this. This is so disturbing. She's dramatizing the whole thing, and she says newly released footage. Lady, we sat down with you in September 2023.
You published the dash cam all over the internet prior to that.
Woman and her young daughter.
Listen.
Only on 4 tonight, newly released dashcam video shows the seconds before a car crashed into oncoming traffic and killed a woman and her young daughter.
Now, the man who has been jailed for more than a year, accused of intentionally causing that.
Newly released dash camera. I mean, question is,
look, we know,
why is Julie Carey not being honest with the community?
Because we know she takes her script from Commonwealth Attorney Amy Ashford.
I mean, that's a good question, right?
Why did she? Okay, listen to this. Why did she only show up to that bond hearing? Why didn't she show up to the one prior to that, or the one after that? Why didn't she show up to Mustafa's motion to dismiss? She only shows up to do the dirty work of Amy Ashford.
I mean, I got arrested by Sheriff Glen Hill for talking about Mustafa. I'm on public property. He arrests me. I got acquittal.
She's not going to report on that.
I texted Julie Carey, and multiple people texted Julie Carey. I said, Julie, this is Amar. This is my new number. I was just found not guilty yesterday with Sheriff Glen Hill. Would you please look into it and possibly bring it media coverage? So I sent her a bunch of video. She says, thanks for the update. We will consider reporting. Why?
She's not going to report on it.
Why? Why would you consider reporting? This is a black sheriff who prides himself in being a Republican, who stepped all over my First Amendment. I got acquittal. I was falsely arrested. Excessive force was used. I was arrested. And I was found not guilty in this community. Why would you not tell this community that we have a sheriff that stepped all over the First Amendment? Why not, man? Oh, wait a minute. You're on a payroll of a police department. Show me that you're not. Show this community that you're not on a payroll.
She's fake news.
I have body cams. I have documents that this police department engaged in child abuse, weaponized kids that loved Mustafa. You know there's a home video. You know there's a Google Nest video inside the apartment.
You've seen the home videos.
You've seen the Google home videos.
2 hours.
You've seen the dash camera. There's a document that says this police department has the audio. Am I supposed to sue you for you to fairly report on what's happening? I'm not asking you for favors, lady. I'm asking you to do your goddamn job.
Look,
and if I have to send you a cease and desist letter, may I remind you, I am a goddamn paralegal. I'm not saying it. The county is saying I'm a paralegal. I worked as a paralegal. I got trained as a paralegal. How do you think I'm fighting these cases? I don't have a dollar to my name, but I'm filing my own motion. I'm fighting back because you, the county, trained me as a paralegal. I mean, you're saying all over your motions that I'm a paralegal. I took the sheriff to court and I beat him in his house. And now I'm going to take Elaine to court in not only Warren County. I cannot wait to move this into federal court. And if you think that federal prosecutors are not tracking what is happening in this case, think again, ma'am. Elaine!
Damar!
I'm coming for you, ma'am, and I'm going to hold you accountable by law.
Mama wants the box.
Let's give mom the box.
Look, I think Elaine has, Elaine is in a world of hurt.
Oh, I've got the federal file right here.
That's coming to her because not only did she lie to a Warren County judge.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to be releasing audios.
She lied to a federal judge.
By the way, if I can have everybody mute so there's no echo, but if you want to talk, feel free to just jump into this conversation. I have the file from federal courts.
Later we talk, Casey, later.
And so going forward, what we're going to do is we're going to be releasing the exhibits that we're going to be filing in Warren County and in federal court.
I mean,
I'm going to file.
Reading that is disturbing. Reading what Elaine told the federal court.
You'll read it.
What she told.
I lived it.
What she told the federal courts. By the way, not on your name. She placed all this information on Mustafa's civil case. What does Amar have to do with Mustafa's civil case?
Wait until Judge Hilton hear what Elaine is talking about. We're going to move this. We're going to file this motion in Warren County, and I'm going to put all the exhibits on the record. So,
I mean, she's actively sabotaging Mustafa's case.
Tim, Elaine's lawyer,
by lying.
You're going to get the exhibits. I'm going to put them on the internet. And what that's going to do, the reason I'm going to release those audios, because from experience, I've come to the conclusion, and I saw this firsthand with Judge Jeanette Irby, who's a retired judge, they brought her from retirement. Literally, this lady is like, I mean, if you're going to take anything from this podcast, imagine you have courts and you're expecting a judge to be impartial. Instead, what they did is they literally brought a judge out of retirement that does not care about the consequences. I mean, what am I going to do? File a motion against a judge that's retired? It's not going to matter because she's going back into the dead. I mean, imagine a vampire gets summoned from a coffin. Imagine a vampire that's been dormant for years, decades. A vampire, a judge who's a vampire, dormant, sleeping, being fed through a tube. And then all of a sudden, the sheriff knocks, opens this coffin, takes her by the neck, puts her behind the bench. Now I have Judge Irby, who's doing the bidding of this sheriff. I mean, this is the kind of tactics they will use. So I've come to the realization that what they're going to do to me in Warren County is for possibly they're going to bring me another retarded judge, a retired judge, and is not going to be impartial. So what am I going to be doing going forward? I'm going to publicize the hell out of the recordings that I have of Elaine's conversation. Specifically, the exhibits I'm going to be putting in a motion that's going to be submitted to whatever vampire that's going to be behind the bench that day. The community is going to be listening. Elaine filed in Warren County and federal court is a lie. And you don't have to take my word for it. All you have to do is listen to the goddamn conversation. And may I remind everybody, including Elaine and her lawyer, Elaine, there are federal prosecutors that are tracking this case now. And God help you. I'll promise you, by the time I'm done with you with these exhibits, you're going to end up in federal prison. You think that this is just going to be decided behind closed doors? Ma'am, think again. I've got a giant platform, and according to Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, Mustafa Brother and his 500,000 supporters, we're going to publicize those exhibits. And by the time I'm done with you, Elaine, I promise you, I'm gonna put money on your commissary in federal prison because I have that heart.
This is what she says to the federal courts. By the way, we just found out that she was saying this to federal court.
That is crazy. When I pulled up that file, I was like, what? You filed this in federal court? Lady, I thought you were crazy.
Not only
but now I
court,
definitely think you're crazy.
You filed it in Mustafa's case.
That is crazy.
Okay? I mean,
it sounds so good on paper, I have to admit. If I was Judge Hilton, I was like, God damn, what a monster. Mustafa brother is a monster.
This 007 agent.
007 agent, it's wild.
So this is what she filed, a supplemental and confidential memorandum in support of counsel for her to be, by the way, for her to be granted, to be withdrawn from the case. Jarvis Law, PLLC.
By the way, before we move into this, for everybody that's been tracking the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, I have a lot of people that tell me, how are you still communicating with Julie Carey? Back and forth, you guys talk? I thought you guys hate each other. I'm here to remind everybody, this is not personal. This is not personal. Me and Julie Carey, we have a working relationship. What does that mean? I think you're a piece of shit that's not doing your job. I'm going to keep doing my job by being public about what you're not doing. And hopefully, you're going to wake up to, maybe I am a piece of shit. And maybe I do have a job to do. That's the kind of working relationship that we have, me and Julie Carey. It's not personal. All I want is the media to stop being fake news. Is that too much to ask for our media reporters who pride themselves in gaining the trust of the community to report fairly? Why is it that you report on the police department that's engaged in child abuse, falsifying police reports, and you won't report on my side of the story where I have the documentation? Everything I say, I've got documentation. Back to what you were saying.
I'm just going to
summarize. With Elaine Jarvis.
I'm just going to summarize this.
No, please, go into details. I lived that. I actually lived these.
Okay, number one, Jarvis Law respectfully submits this memorandum in support of its motion to withdraw as counsel for the plaintiff in this action. What happened? Your live government?
We're still on YouTube. That's okay.
Okay. Can you appeal it real quick?
I could, yeah.
Should I just continue for that?
Yeah, just continue.
Okay. Plaintiff's counsel filed this initial complaint on August 30th, 2024. So that's when she filed the federal lawsuit for Mustafa. Number three, thereafter, plaintiff's counsel worked closely with the Al-Jazari family on social media and press. Number four, Michael Vardian asked for a job as a paralegal at Jarvis Law.
I did not ask for a job as a paralegal. As a matter of fact, you were there, and I was specifically hired to do podcasts. Now, have I ever worked as a lawyer? No. Have I ever worked as a paralegal? No. Do I know anything about being a paralegal? Hell no. I was hired because I was running out of money.
And she
I was barefoot protesting for my brother.
She wanted to work on her podcast.
And she wanted me to work on her podcast.
And if you remember at the time, she said, I am willing to fund you however you want. Whatever you want, I'm going to fund you. If you want better equipment, you want a camera, you want anything you want. She basically gave you like an open check. I don't know if it was...
you were there for the whole conversation.
I was. Okay, so Michael Vardian asked for a job as a paralegal at Jarvis Law. He expressed a willingness to work the necessary hours and expressed a wish to learn the law so that he could help others, particularly prisoners. Before considering this, plaintiff counsel, she asked you to sign a non-disclosure agreement. On October 1st, Jarvis Law offered Mr. Vardian a position as a paralegal at the salary of...
A paralegal that does podcasts?
$50,000.
All he does is record their podcasts?
$50,000 a year. That's how much she was paying you.
Okay.
Mr. Vardian presented an excellent resume with a college degree from Virginia Commonwealth University.
Lady, I don't even have a resume. What are you talking about?
And 2 years of medical school.
That is true. I graduated out of VCU and I did 2 years of medical. That is
well
true.
as-
But I never gave her a goddamn
as well as
resume.
an extensive experience in other fields. Mr. Vardian worked at Jarvis Law as a paralegal. As an employee, he had access to firm files. That's a lie. Mr. Vardian was an employee at will. On multiple occasions, plaintiff's counsel counseled Mr. Vardian as to the meaning of sealed documents and the need to respect the integrity of the legal system. Now,
That's interesting.
I'm gonna comment on that.
I have a whole notebook of recordings, by the way, that is going to be submitted into exhibits.
When she says that she counseled you on the meaning of sealed documents, I mean, there's a whole video of her talking about the jail video that she posted, and that she said these are sealed videos, but the jail never specifically put it in the system right. So as far as the legal aspect of it, I can still post them until the judge says to remove them. And when the judge did say remove them, what did she say in the car?
I mean, why not? What? Look, how about this?
Hold on a second.
Let me just play
She
it.
looked back and she said, even if I remove the videos by 5 p.m.
It worked. She said it worked.
She said it worked.
Whatever. They're already shared by so many people. My plan worked. That's what she said. She said her plan worked. Let me play the video.
I mean, that was her plan, to post these videos on the internet. Okay? And she told us specifically, she said, your brother will never get justice unless these videos are all over the internet, and the public is going to put enough pressure on these agencies to do the right thing.
And what does she say? She's gonna say, we're gonna pretend. I'm gonna pretend that I fired you. I'm gonna continue to pay you under the table. I mean, this conversation. This has already been submitted to the court.
I'm going to pretend like I fired you.
You were there for the conversation.
So that we can separate ourselves in the public's view, that we're in two different bubbles, that if they want to attack the person that's publicizing all this, they can't attack me. Remember, I'm fighting for your brother in the legal system, and I don't want any trouble with sanctions or the county coming after me. So we're going to pretend like I fired you. I'm still going to pay you under the table.
Tim, Elaine's lawyer, do you still want to play, sir? Because I'm going to destroy you in court. I promise you. Your client is going to jail on my hands. I promise you she's going to end up in federal prison.
I mean, what did she say about this?
I love being on this roller coaster, by the way. You're with me. And, hey, brother, you're representing a liar. Let me play an audio for you. Now, for those that don't know who Tim is, what is it, Jonathan? Is it Tim Jonathan? That's Elaine's lawyer in Warren County. Let me play an audio. By the way, we're going to release a lot. We're going to release everything.
This is troubling information here. Let me just read this.
Troubling information, you say?
Troubling for Elaine because we actually have audio recordings of what transpired November 1st. And it's not what she says to the federal judge. Judge Hilton is reading this like, when he reads this, he's like, what a terrible family. What a terrible family to do this to this lawyer. Okay, and when Mustafa requests that the federal courts grant him a lawyer, Judge Hilton is like, hell no, I'm not giving you a lawyer. I'm not giving you a lawyer because your family ruined your legal representation. And that's a lie. That's 100% a lie. She says, on November 1st, plaintiff's counsel appeared before the Honorable Claude Hilton to argue the preliminary injunction motion filed by the plaintiff. After hearing from counsel for the defendant, Judge Hilton denied plaintiff's motion for the reasons stated in open court. With this preliminary injunction motion, defendants filed a motion for sanctions for plaintiff's publication of a video in violation of Local Rule 5. Before counsel for the defendant argued their side of the motion, Michael Vardian, a.k.a. Amar Al-Jazari,
You might need a microphone for this one.
Caused a disturbance.
Oh, is that the disturbance that she said afterward? I'm so glad that you did what you did.
She praised you for it.
She praised me for it. I have a recording of it.
Okay, so, let me see, where was that?
This is really bad.
Michael Vardian, caused a disturbance in court. He yelled, This is bullshit. I'm going to publish everything. I'm going to release everything and no one can stop me. The bailiff ordered the unruly Vardian out of the courtroom. Court proceeded. Judge Hilton denied the motion for sanctions, then advised that he would take the motion for sanctions under advisement as the case progressed. After court, plaintiff's counsel fired you on the spot. She then spoke to you, to Mustafa Al-Jazari's attorney-in-fact, Mohammed Al-Jazari.
I have that phone call conversation.
And to
recorded.
Mustafa's father. Counsel gave the family an ultimatum: return any and all copies of any sealed or protected videos and sign an additional agreement agreeing to abide by the court's rule.
That is
The family
absolutely not
refused.
true. And instead, what you in the audio, you hear that Elaine is saying, "I'm gonna pretend that I fired you." That's a lie. That's in federal court. She lied. Instead, she said that I'm gonna pretend I fired you. I'm gonna continue to pay you under the table. And then she went on and said, the videos that I released, the video that she released, the jail videos that she released is actually still public. And she's showing us how to access them.
Yeah.
And she said, go in front of the Department of Justice, go in front of the governor, do your podcast, and that's the only way I'm going to continue to pay you under the table.
I'm going to pay you under the table.
I have a recording of this conversation. I mean, Elaine, are you in there? Hello? You can't run away from this conversation. That is a lie. You lied to federal court.
She says she gave us an
Continue.
ultimatum.
Yeah. You were there.
She gave us an ultimatum.
I'm going to have you understand, Mohammed. I'm going to have Elaine understand. And I'm going to fry the shit out of your ass. On that note, you might want to, I want to thank our sponsors. Depends. That Elaine might want to invest in those adult diapers. The same one used by our sheriff office, Sheriff Glen Hill. Now, on that note, after we thank our sponsors, we're going to go back into what Mohammed is talking about with Elaine putting on the record in federal court.
She says, later that afternoon, Mr. Vardian and Mohammed Al-Jazari returned to the
You
office.
can tell I'm enjoying the hell out of this.
To have a private phone call with Mustafa Al-Jazari. At the time, plaintiff's counsel advised that she would withdraw from representation if the family did not comply with the court's order. That is a lie. Actually, I remember she pulled up her laptop, and it's on the
recording.
She said, you know, the jail actually left the videos unsealed, and let me show you how you can get it. You can actually get it from the court's website. And she began to show me how to do it on the laptop. And then, okay, 15 is Mr. Vardian and Mohammed Al-Jazari intimidated at that time that they intended to steal protected files relating to Mustafa Al-Jazari's case. Plaintiff's counsel announced to her client that if his family disobeyed any court orders, she would withdraw. That is...
That's a lie. There's a recording of the conversation.
I mean, you know what she said? She said, when I pretend like I fired you, can you at least give me a week? Give me a week before you start posting, all those videos. At least give me a week to make it look like, that I fired you. This conversation ended late on November 1st before going home. Plaintiff's counsel secured a hard drive, several flash drives, and other sensitive documents by locking them in the firm's safe.
Wait a minute. She secured the files when I'm specifically telling her
that you have the files.
I mean, wait a minute. There is a video of me sitting down with Elaine. I mean, it gets more disturbing. The more you read, the more okay.
I remember, she's not telling a story. She's telling a federal judge these lies.
I mean, listen to this. Can I see your mic?
It's been 18 months, and I have evidence where they falsified my brother's police report.
Listen to this.
And
This is a month before she puts that in federal court.
It's been 18 months. I'll tell you, ma'am, it's been 18 months, and I have evidence where they falsified my brother's police report. Muted.
Oh no, I'm just appealing it.
My brother's dash camera before impact. They muted that dash camera.
Just to interrupt, but just to be clear, since we are under a criminal protective order as well, Amar, you found all this out on your own, did you not?
Ma'am, I have, ma'am, it's been 18 months. And to tell me that this information.
Would you do me a favor? Would you answer my question up and yes or no?
Yes,
Did you
I have.
take this information yourself?
Of course I did. It's been 18 months. We have a lot of, police officers inside the police department that are not okay with what's happening to my brother.
Okay.
When I got back from overseas, I started a company for a Quantico Marine Base, and I've hired Marines. There are military police Marines.
So you've gotten
and I have a lot of friends that are police officers.
Gotcha.
And to make this go on for 18 months, and to think that I'm not going to obtain this information from inside the police department by a police officer is ridiculous. There's a lot of police officers that serve and protect this community every day. They wear a badge, they wear a uniform, they protect this community.
And God bless each one of them.
And what's happening to my brother, they're not okay with it.
No.
They see what's happening to my brother. They know that an investigator falsified the police report. They know that investigator Robert Drum cut and...
So you're telling me for a whole entire month, you're okay.
Now, you don't think
you're asking me, Amar,
with this drug?
do you have your brother's discovery, the criminal case?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the case? You have the case. How did you obtain it? I've obtained it from a police officer that supplied it to me. You're asking me, and I'm telling you.
I mean,
this is a month.
She was okay with it back then.
What are you telling the court that you secured the whatever and the whatever? What are you talking about? A month?
On November 1st.
Read that again.
On this conversation ended late on November 1st. Before going home, plaintiff's counsel, so Elaine, secured a hard drive, several flash drives, and other sensitive documents by locking them in the firm's safe. Hold on. Plaintiff's counsel thought more about the family's threats to steal files and became increasingly concerned. The family had made prior threats, but the behavior of Mr. Vardian had reached a stage of appearing out of control, even violent.
I mean, I want everybody to pause for 2 seconds and look up my name on YouTube. Ammar, Ammar, Aljazari. The first video that's going to come up is this video. And this is about a year and a half ago. The first video that will pull up is me standing in front of the court, screaming, I'm going to release all of it. I'm going to release all the videos. My behavior became extremely, what? Violent, and all of a sudden I'm talking about releasing all the files? Lady, I've been screaming about releasing the files a year and a half ago before I met you. What are you talking about? Every conversation that I talk to you about, I'm telling you I'm going to release the files. Every single person I talk to, I'm telling them I'm going to release the files. This conversation took place a month before you're writing that in federal court. I mean, you should see the other podcast.
This is who's violent.
I mean, listen to this. With a megaphone. With a megaphone. With a goddamn megaphone. Telling everybody I'm going to release the files that I have for my brother. What am I talking about? The same files that I'm talking to you about securing it from a police officer. Hey, lady. I've got the files. Before I met you. This podcast a month before you're writing things in federal courts. Wait until you hear the rest of it. You want to talk about who's violent? Let me show you who's violent.
Just put that onto the screen.
This is who's violent.
You're the liar.
You're the liar.
You're the liar.
You're a liar and a thief, and
You
know it.
You know Mustafa's being abused.
You saw the truth.
Okay, you saw the truth.
You guys are liars.
You're a liar.
Both of you.
You're a liar. You sent him a letter. saying he's gonna rot in jail?
I did not say that.
You did not say. I have the
Look at
letter.
the whole letter.
I have the letter.
You take everything out of context. I was explaining that because of your stupidity, ignorance, and illness and sickness.
Okay, you know his reports are
Yes.
falsified.
Shut the fuck up, Bonnie.
You shut
Don't
the fuck
interrupt me.
up. You shut the fuck up.
She's telling my sister, shut the fuck up, Bonnie. Does that look like a lawyer?
What are you gonna do?
So, you're violent
She's like, what are you
and a
gonna do?
liar.
Oh, what are you gonna do?
Oh, what are you gonna do? It gets worse.
Shut the fuck up, Bonnie. Don't interrupt me.
You shut the fuck up.
I'm answering your
Don't
question.
talk to my sister like that.
Oh,
Okay.
what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Nothing.
What are you gonna do?
Nothing
You approach me.
illegal.
What are you gonna do? So she comes up to you, antagonizes you, tells the family, shut the fuck up, Bonnie. What are you gonna do? Oh, wait a minute. Lady,
She's
you're
a hostile-
violent.
She's a hostile person.
She's,
A very hostile person.
you think?
I think she's unstable.
So, not only that she's violent, but she's a liar.
She's a liar.
And I have recording. Keep reading. I've got, man. By the way, I'm gonna release all the exhibits. And we're gonna be public about what we're doing. So that way,
And what did she tell you? She said, leave your property here.
Oh,
at my
yeah.
office. You're like, this is on November 1st.
I've got the recording for her.
You're like, this is my,
Mechanic.
this is my mechanic equipment.
Yeah.
I need it. I'm going to take it. She says, no, just leave it. Leave it in my basement.
You have the key. You can come in and go whenever you want.
You looked at me and you're like, I'm taking my stuff. Like, I'm not leaving anything here. You take all your stuff. This is November 1st. But we agree on November 1st that she's going to pretend like she fired you. She was still going to pay you under the table. And your new mission is to go in front of the governor and hold a podcast for Mustafa. And that she is going to do her job on the legal side. But this separation is going to ensure that the jail lawyers, that the county can't attack her and sanction her because whatever you're saying has nothing to do with her.
That she's gonna pretend that she fired me, but I'm still working for her under the table, and she's gonna continue.
And she said,
to pay me under the
you're,
table.
you're still going to run my social media. Remember what she said?
Exactly.
You're still going to podcast for me.
Exactly.
Anything you need for social media, I got you.
Exactly.
But your job is to go in front of the DOJ, the governor, and talk about Mustafa. And another thing, she says, can
you imagine?
She says, how can I get on CARE's payroll?
Oh yeah, she goes on and says, "How can I reach that organization that went and saw Mustafa when they beat him, took pictures? How could they fund me as Mustafa's lawyer so I can continue to be Mustafa's lawyer?"
This is November 1st at night.
The same conversation where she says, I mean, which one is it? I mean, when you listen to the recording and you listen to what she says in federal court, it's two different things. Thank God I have a recording.
Next, she says, plaintiff's counsel thought more about the family's threats to steal files and became increasingly concerned. The family had made prior threats, but the behavior of Mr. Vardian had reached a stage of appearing out of control, even violent. Throughout the weekend, plaintiff's counsel took a number of measures to secure firm data. She changed passwords on all firm systems, including Box, ShareFile, Outlook, Evidence.com, Microsoft Systems, and so on. She also changed her firm's password on all social media outlets. In addition, she began checking social media postings by the Al-Jazari family. Now, we know that none of this you had access to. You didn't have access to any of her firm's stuff.
Whoa. First of all, let's leave that to court.
Late Sunday, November 3rd, plaintiff's counsel changed the locks.
Tim,
at the
I'm going to
office.
destroy you in court. That's all I got to say.
Monday, November 4th.
I cannot wait.
Plaintiff's counsel then discovered, upon returning to her office, that one of her firm's computers was missing.
Are we talking about the same computer that
Wait.
you newly bought as a gift? And wait a minute, I have the receipt that it shows that it was recently bought. I have a receipt that says, Amar Michael Vardeen, go and pick up that laptop.
And she bought it for you so you can
do a podcast.
So
I can continue podcast for you, lady.
Podcast for her.
If I don't have the conversation from that's where it gets disturbing. Amar, go ahead and get the computer so you can continue doing my podcast. I need to get you the equipment that you need so you can do the podcast for me. What?
She went out on her own, bought this laptop. You have a receipt. She sent you an email.
She
Go pick it
wasn't.
up.
She wasn't her. Exactly. She wasn't. We were in the office. She bought it on Best Buy, and she said, "Amar, go pick it up, like Spider-Man. Go pick it up."
Go pick it up. You have the receipt to it.
I have the receipt to it.
Okay.
It's a brand new computer.
It's a brand new computer.
It doesn't have anything on it.
Exactly.
Wait a minute. Oh, whoa.
But
Oh,
look,
Tim.
look,
Oh,
look,
Tim.
look.
Okay, wait a minute. So, the laptop has a certain amount of memory that you can store on it. Listen, how could you put body cams with that amount of size on this laptop? Does that make sense?
It's almost a terabyte.
It's all you're talking about the body cams.
Yeah. It's like
The body cams do not fit on the laptop.
They don't.
And the laptop, you can't access this from any data. This laptop doesn't have anything on it. It has words. It has a software where I can edit the video when I'm done podcasting. The burden of proof is on you. Do you know what you have to show to this judge? You have to show this judge
how you link this laptop to your firm. And it was never linked.
That's
a
crazy.
fact.
That is crazy.
Okay. Now,
that is.
And by the way, this is in federal court. So if you think that,
Wait a minute.
If you think Judge Funk or Timothy or somebody is going to help you,
oh, they're not going to help you.
They're not going to help you.
Tim is already thinking about checking out of this
You've
case.
lied to federal court.
By the way, Tim, wait until I release the rest of the recording. I think you might want to invest with a company that's sponsoring this podcast.
I mean, okay, let's
on this note,
let's back up a little bit.
Should we thank our sponsors? Well, afterwards.
Hold on.
I want to thank our sponsors.
Let's go
because
back.
Tim might really want to invest.
Let me just make this
Okay.
point real quick.
All right.
She's claiming that on November 1st, that's when Mustafa had a hearing where you stood up in court and you said, I don't care, I'm going to post these videos. You said that in federal court.
Mm-hmm.
She's saying that immediately she fired you right there on the spot.
What?
Now, if she had fired you, why did you not ask for the laptop on the spot?
That makes sense.
On November 1st, we drove back to her office.
And we sat down with her.
We sat
Not
down
once,
with her.
twice.
Twice. And so it's recorded.
It's recorded, yeah.
Why did you never ask or think about this laptop?
What do you mean? She said you have the key to the building. You can come in. You're more than welcome. Because I was trying to get my mechanic equipment.
Listen
my
to
suitcase.
this. Listen to this. On Monday, November 4th, plaintiff's counsel discovered upon returning to her office that one of her firm's computers was missing.
What?
On November 4th, she found out her laptop was missing.
On November when?
November 4th.
I thought we had the conversation. I thought she fired me.
I thought she fired you on November 1st.
Which one is it?
We had a conversation late in the afternoon. So,
I mean, lady, you can't even keep your own story straight.
She suspected that Mr. Vardian had taken this computer between the time he raised the disturbance in court and the time plaintiff's counsel returned to her vehicle. Hold on a second. Hold on. We'll unpack that. Or later on the evening of Friday, November 1st. So, is she trying to say that you took this laptop? Number one, when she went into court, you were in court with her. Court is almost an hour and a half away from her office.
Basically.
She got to her office before you got back. Because remember, we went to Starbucks.
Yeah.
I think we were we made a post.
Mm-hmm.
So she was already at her office. She went back. I mean, it's an hour and a half drive. She's saying that she's suspecting that you went to the office, took the laptop that's an hour and a half away before she got to her vehicle.
We sat down with her twice. I mean, it's on a recording. We sat down with her twice, and thank God I have a recording of the conversation.
Because she's saying that you went to her car and took the laptop.
To her car?
You don't even have the keys to her
I don't
car.
have the keys to your car. Lady, what are you talking about?
Is
that what she says?
That's what she says.
She says car?
She says she suspected that Mr. Vardian had taken this computer between the time he raised the disturbance in court and the time plaintiff's counsel returned to her vehicle.
How would I access your car?
How would you access her car?
It's your car. You have the keys. You're driving. How would I access your car?
Actually, you didn't even know where her car was. Remember?
I mean, I don't even know my way around federal court.
Look, or later in the evening on Friday, November 1st. I mean, when she says later in the evening on Friday, November 1st.
November 1st. Interesting.
The fact that she's lying about firing you on November 1st, the fact that she's lying about that shows you what kind of person she is. You know, I'll remind Amar of a story he told me when Elaine was visiting Mustafa sometime in, I think it was October.
Yeah.
Okay. She said that the jail humiliated her by taking her keys, her laptop, her phone, her bag, that they took everything from her before they let her go see Mustafa. So when she saw Mustafa, she didn't have access to her car keys, she didn't have access to her purse, her laptop, or anything outside of herself, her physical body. Couldn't be in that visit. And she said she after leaving the visit, she tells Amar that she wants to file a police report to claim that the jail officers that took her car keys, that they had gone into her car, stolen a flash drive, took Mustafa's jail videos, and they posted it to the internet. And she was going to file a police report saying that, knowing that it's a lie. So imagine how easy it is for this lawyer to go to police and file false reports. That was her idea. She's being sanctioned by the jail lawyers. She's being sanctioned by the county, and she wants to get out of it. So she says, I'm going to file a police report and tell the police that when I visited Mustafa and the jail guards took my car keys, that they must have gone into my car, taken my laptop, taken my flash drive, and then they looked through this flash drive, saw Mustafa's beating, the video, and they had posted it to the internet.
Look, it's clear that she's using me as a scapegoat when the county is coming after her.
What a lunatic.
Hard. She comes out, she released the jail videos. The county is coming after her and threatening her that they're going to take her license. And what does she do? She lined herself with the county and is now using me as the scapegoat when it's on the record that she's the one that released the video, the jail videos. I'm telling her I have the file from a third individual outside a third party, a police officer that supplied me with the equipment.
Listen
on video.
Listen to how crazy this sounds.
Yeah.
She wants to say that when the jail officers took her car keys, that they had copied her office keys, and then when she's at
Yeah, I
home,
remember that
that they had broke into her office, stolen her files, specifically the Mustafa CCTV footage, and that the jail officers are posting this video to the internet so that she could be sanctioned. And she was going to call the police and say that a jail officer broke into her office. And that when she had visited Mustafa, they used that time to take her office keys and make copies of it.
I mean, this lady is crazy.
What the hell?
This lady is straight up crazy.
What the hell is going on with this lady? I mean, she thinks like she's in some
can you
like
imagine?
James Bond movie.
What she's putting on paper is she's painting me as 007. I mean, it's weird. It is absolutely weird. And I'm almost flattered. Except, lady, you're lying to federal court.
We'll take that as a compliment.
I'll take it as a compliment, but in court, I'm going to show them the conversation.
But we have, unlucky for her.
Yeah.
Unlucky for Tim.
Unlucky for Tim.
You have...
He's throwing his career down
You
the
have
hill.
audio recordings, okay? And
I liked him, but he's destroying his own career.
Everybody knows that you record everything, okay? Now, Elaine never suspected or expected that conversation from November 1st to be on tape, okay?
Among other conversations.
Had it not been for this recording, the court's going to take her word for it.
Of course, she's an officer of the court.
She's an officer
of the
court.
Hold a lot of weight. Now, on that note, I want to thank Mustafa for tuning in
from
Mustafa. Prince William County, solitary confinement. Mustafa's been in solitary confinement for over 2 goddamn years. Mustafa, hello.
Hello.
Thank you for being here. Mustafa, you're in the middle of a huge conversation. And from my tone, if you can't tell, I'm enjoying the conversation. It's a really crazy conversation, by the way. We're talking about Elaine Jarvis and what Elaine is doing for Amy Ashworth. I mean, Mustafa, I want to have you hear a recording. And maybe it's going to bring the point home for Elaine's lawyer. Tim, tune in, brother. This is one out of many recordings. Muhammad, can you do me a favor? Can you go to the part where she says, where Rachel Adams came to her and specifically asked her that the judge has issued a order to have the jail video sealed, and that she complied with the judge order immediately. Can you read that portion?
Where is it? Which one is
It's in the beginning. I think it's a conversation that took place on October 18.
October 18.
It's about Rachel Adams.
It's not this one. This one. By the way, she filed a claim with her insurance company. That's fraud.
And lady,
That's fraud.
That's fraud. Just because you file a claim with your insurance, the burden is on you
She filed
to prove.
she filed a cyber insurance coverage claim
That is crazy.
to claim that Amar had
When
hacked,
after
that you hacked into her system,
Uh-huh.
that this was a cyber attack
wow
on her firm. That's
wow.
a lie.
007.
So now she's filing insurance fraud.
So I'm not just a paralegal. I'm a hacker. Is that what she's telling federal court? Well, just because you filed with your insurance, the burden of proof is on you, and you have to show what you claim I did. I mean, filing insurance claim is not enough, lady.
I mean, she knows the laptop was never linked to anything.
The laptop does not link to anything and doesn't have memory to hold anything. It's just simply for podcasting.
Exactly.
That apparently I'm an expert in. I mean, look at all the equipment. Look at all the equipment that we're gonna get. I want to specifically thank a beautiful, beautiful lady that's been tracking Mustafa's case for over a year. Bustos, if you hear me, I love you. I love you, ma'am. Bustos is upgrading our equipment to where we're going to get really sophisticated equipment that's going to transform this whole entire podcast. That you not only going to see us with one view, it's called video follow audio. So when I talk, the camera is going to be on me. When Muhammad talk, the camera is going to be on him. And if we both talk, there's a third view where it's going to be showing both of us. Now this, and you're going to hear my voice amplified. And if you know anything about me, I love to have my voice amplified. We're going to get really nice equipment where my voice is going to be really amplified. I cannot wait. And this is going to transform the whole podcast, the platform, to where it's going to make the whole thing go viral. Amy Ashworth, you're possibly looking at a platform that could go viral. So Amy Ashworth, our voice is getting bigger. Mustafa, hello. While Muhammad is looking for that piece of information on the motion that Elaine filed in federal court, lying to federal court, how are you doing?
Good. You know what time it is?
It is 10:31. Let me put your voice in the microphone. By the way, we're thinking about making a newspaper out of Prince William County. And a newspaper is simple. It's $100 to pay for your press pass. There's a place that you can, and you become a press. So you might actually have a copy of a Julie Carey running around our community, except it's not going to be a piece of shit of a reporter. That is actually going to report on what is going on in our community. And it's really easy to start a newspaper because literally you just need a website. I mean, Inside Nova is a local newspaper, and literally it's a website. So you might have this podcast. We're already mobile, so we might start going out to different families and report on what they're going through. Give those families in our community a goddamn voice. Mustafa?
This is an order. I don't know if you talk about this.
No. When Rachel Adams went out to Elaine, I think it's in the motion. I read it.
Maybe
That Rachel Adams went out to Elaine and told her the judge ordered a seal order. You released a video, Elaine, The video is still on the internet.
Was that an email?
Lori, I love you, ma'am, and I cannot wait for to make this happen.
Was
We're
that an
working
email?
on it.
Was that an email?
No, it's not an email. It's actually in the motion.
It's on here.
I'm
I mean,
telling you,
this
I
is an
read
email.
it. It's in the motion. It's one of the it's like. Well, let's listen to the audio. Okay.
Oh, is this one you talking about? You have until 6.
Yes, that one. Oh my
No,
God.
This was a letter to you.
Let me. Okay, so she says. No, that's not it.
That's not it.
No, she talks about specifically about Rachel Adam and how she respects the judge and she follows the judge's order, and the opposing counsel that's representing the jail specifically came out to her. It's in the bullet point. I'll find it and I'll post it. That she came out to her and told her, Elaine, the judge issued a seal order on the video that you released and you still have on your page. Can you please make sure you follow the judge order? She's supposedly, Elaine told Rachel Adam, I will absolutely comply with the judge order and I will immediately remove it. I follow the judge order, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's listen to the conversation that she was having after she talked to Rachel Adam, the jail lawyer.
And by the way, if she strongly felt that these videos should come out,
yeah,
in this order, it says that that Mustafa's lawyer never objected to these files being sealed by the courts. So she never objected to it. I don't know what the hell she was doing. If she believes that these videos should have never been sealed, she could have filed an opposition to it, but she never did.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, let's listen. Mustafa, you ready?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right, listen to this.
Watch the judge, watch how things were going. I want you there.
Wait. Tim, are you tuning in? You might want to tune in to Tim. You might want to tune into this conversation. And before we listen to this audio, you might want to invest in our sponsors. We have a company that's sponsoring this podcast. It's an adult diaper called Depend. Now, it's a very reliable diaper. Our Sheriff Glen Hill, wears that diaper.
Who said that?
Elaine Jarvis. I have a recording of Elaine Jarvis who went into detail telling me that Sheriff Glen Hill wears an adult diaper. And I'm like, what do you mean, Elaine? She says, he wears Depends. I'm like,
how did she know that?
I have no idea. But if she doesn't wear that adult diaper, she might want to invest in some. Because federal prosecutors do not play. And Tim, while we're on the subject, you might want to order a couple of boxes, sir. The recordings that I'm going to be publicizing and putting on the record might just end your career. Because the next time anybody wants to hire you, they're going to look up that your client is Elaine Jarvis, a liar, a crazy person, who there is evidence that she lied. Brother, you don't have to take my word for it. Tune in, and you might want to invest in an adult diaper.
Is it one size fits all?
One size fits all, Mustafa. That's what's so beautiful about it. That's why the sheriff wears it. Now, on that note, let's listen to what Elaine is telling us. She says, Rachel Adam told her there's a judge order that was issued, just issued by Judge Hilton. Can you please remove the jail video that you released and is still posted on your page? Elaine says, absolutely. I respect the judge's order, Judge Hilton. Let's really listen to what she says behind closed doors.
And I asked for a continuance in 2 weeks, November 1st.
Let's rewind from the beginning.
Watch the judge, watch how things were going. I want you there, and I asked for a continuance in 2 weeks.
By the way,
November 1st.
Mustafa, she's talking to you on the phone. There is her daughter, Maddie, is there. I'm in the car. We're driving back to the office, and she's on the phone with you. So I might use you as a witness. I might get an affidavit from you. Listen. I mean, this is weird.
So that you can appear. And I also, good news, the judge is letting us get affidavits. So we're gonna go around and get affidavits from everybody and submit those to the court as well. But the most wonderful. Maddie, explain to him.
An affidavit is like, you know how you give testimony in court? Ooh, an affidavit is Elaine.
Elaine.
Sorry, Gustav, I'm messing with her. An affidavit is basically your testimony in written form, sworn to under oath, and with like a notary, signing it.
Yeah, in other words, I can't get witnesses to testify, but we can. I know, but we can submit an affidavit. So we're going to go around and visit Richard Brooks, try to get with Isaiah Riddle, some of the different people that have seen what's going on inside the jail. In the meantime, opposing counsel Rachel Adams.
Listen to what she says. Hey, Rachel Adam. Rachel, hello. You might want to tune into this one and really listen to what Elaine is talking about and what she's saying about you. Just in case you might have been fooled. I've got the recording for you.
Is a weak ass wimp, and
Rachel Adam is a weak ass wimp. Oh my God! What did she say in that motion? I really want to. I want you to find that bullet point. I might just post that bullet point. I'm gonna post the whole thing, but I'm gonna post that bullet point and how she says she loves Rachel Adam. She respects Rachel Adam. She respects the judge. Oh, behind closed doors, she says she's a weak ass wimp.
Oh, you have something she said about Judge Hilton too.
Oh, yes, I do. I mean, listen. I'm gonna rewind just a little bit.
opposing counsel Rachel Adams is a weak ass wimp, and so we got a read of her, and she's like, outside, can I speak to you for a minute? She's like, we need you to take that video down. I said, okay, I'll take the video down now if the judge has made an order. She's like, well, you better. And I said, we'll have it down by close of business today. And so the video, I believe, has gone all over the place. So even though we're taking it down from our website, I think it'll be shared.
Does that lawyer sound sincere in her effort to remove the jail video that she released on the internet? Now she says she counseled me multiple times, her paralegal, on what is sealed, what is not sealed. Mohammed, read that bullet point one more time about how Elaine counseled her paralegal on what is sealed, what is not sealed. Does that goddamn lawyer sound like she's sincere about removing sealed videos off the internet? Gonna rewind that just a little bit.
I said, we'll have it down by close of it to take that video down. And she's like, and so we got a read of her, and opposing counsel Rachel Adams is a weak ass wimp, and so we got a read of her, and
so she says here to the federal court, Mr. Vardian, you, was an employee at will on multiple occasions. Plaintiff's counsel, so Elaine, counseled Mr. Vardian as to the meaning of sealed documents and the need to respect the integrity of the legal system. This was a filing on November 13th, 2024.
Hey, Tim, do you still want to be on this roller coaster? Hey, Timothy, do you still want to be on this roller coaster? So to court, buckle up. I've got many more recordings.
Look, to court, she's making it look like, oh, this is my paralegal who doesn't respect the legal system, doesn't respect a judge's order. Yet here she is on audio admitting she's laughing about that Rachel Adams asked us to take this video down, but it's already been...
This is a specific effort.
It's already gone everywhere.
This is a specific effort and a plan for her to release the videos, and she's not making any effort to really remove it.
she's like, outside, can I speak to you for a minute? She's like, we need you to take that video down. I said, okay, I'll take the video down now if the judge has made an order. She's like, well, you better. And I said, we'll have it down by close of business today. And So the video, I believe, has gone all over the place. So even though we're taking it down from our website, I think it'll be shared.
Oh yeah.
We made our point.
We made our. She said we made our point. We made our point. Come on, lady. Who are you? Are you fooling federal prosecutors? Because guess who's tracking this case? You made it federal. You put it in federal court. Now federal prosecutors are tracking what you're doing.
Listen, I'll say this. This is an image of Elaine holding a picture that you gave her.
Now who gave her that picture?
You gave her this photo from the from the criminal discovery case.
Now this is, hey Tim, you might want to tune into this one. This is an image that your client is holding
from the criminal case.
By the way, this is a snapshot of the video, of the CCTV video.
It's not. It's the visits.
It's the visit, the jail visits
with his family.
Well, it's the jail video, the CCTV video with the visit. This is a snapshot from the jail visit that's in the criminal file. Now this is a there's two files. There's the jail videos for the civil lawsuit that Rachel Adam sent Elaine videos, and Elaine Jarvis decided to release. The criminal file has
Mustafa's visits.
Has Mustafa's visits. And from those visits, from those jail visits, I took snapshots of Mustafa's arm,
of his head,
and I gave them to Elaine.
And she used it.
And she's using it in the civil case. Now, in the civil federal case. Now, it is illegal. Is your client saying? Let me get this right. Is your client telling the judge? Is your client telling the court that I'm not in possession of the criminal case? That I'm not in possession of the criminal case. Now, if I'm not in possession of the criminal case, that would mean that Elaine Jarvis took evidence from the criminal file and used it in the civil file lawsuit. And that's illegal.
And she said it's illegal.
I mean, that's illegal. She said it's illegal. It is illegal. May I remind you, you cannot take evidence from criminal cases and use them in civil lawsuits.
Especially when they're sealed.
And there are two separate files. I mean, I have a video that I sat down with Elaine that she specifically asked me, Amar, you're in possession of the criminal file. I said, yes, ma'am, I do. How are you in possession of the criminal file? Mustafa's criminal file. I said, ma'am, I have a police officer that supplied me with it a month ago. Now, I supplied Elaine. I have evidence that I supplied Elaine. I have a video evidence that I supplied Elaine. Give me the picture one more time. Those pictures. If Elaine is saying, I'm not in possession of the file, of the criminal case, then how is she using evidence from the criminal file? These are snapshots. These are snapshots from a jail visit video. Buckle up, buddy. You're on this roller coaster. You want to be on this roller coaster? Well, you're in it with me now. And I promise you, by the time it's over, you're going to be begging to get off this roller coaster. You're going to be begging that you never took a case of a client that's lying to you.
Lies.
The next time your client look up your name to hire you as a lawyer, they're going to look up that you represented a liar.
There it is. Look, there it is. This is a visit video. This is the image that Elaine used.
This is the image
that Elaine used in her federal case.
This is the image.
Now zoom out.
There we go. Isn't that beautiful?
That's from the discovery.
That's from the discovery. The criminal case that you say, that you want to say, I'm not in possession of. Then how is Elaine Jarvis using it for filing in the civil lawsuit in federal court? Which one is it? I'm telling you, by the time I'm done with Elaine, she's going to jail for a long time. Now, on that note, Mustafa, I love you, man. I love you, sir. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you for being on here. Do you want to say anything before we end the podcast? The cell phone is running out of battery. Oh, beautiful. This is another one. This is an image that Elaine Jarvis used in the federal lawsuit. Now zoom out.
That's a video.
That's the video.
From the criminal discovery.
Now, Tim, what is your client exactly telling you? Am I in possession of the file in the criminal case? Am I not in possession of the criminal case? And if I'm not in possession of the criminal case, how is Elaine using files that are sealed from the criminal case into the civil lawsuit in federal court? I think that's a question for Amy Ashworth. Now that we know Amy Ashworth is tuning in, I think Amy Ashworth is gonna take a back seat, straighten out her mustache, like those what do you call them? Those cowboy hats with the Mexicans with the mustache. Okay, those cowboys. Amy Ashworth, straighten out your mustache, man. Take a step backwards, and process the information that we're unloading on you. And you might just want to invest in the company that's sponsoring this podcast. Depends. You might want to ask the sheriff that put me in handcuffs when I held a sign that says Amy Ashworth allows a jail to murder inmates. You waved at me, your sheriff arrested me, and I took him to court in his house. I beat him. Mustafa, your brother out here is ending careers, putting people on retirement. I love you, man. This is a picture of the company that's sponsoring our podcast, Depends.
It's the
Adult.
Without the S.
The whole time. I'm actually butchering the name of the company that's literally sponsoring this podcast. Depend. Adult diaper. Used by the sheriff himself, Sheriff Glen Hill. Mustafa, I love you, man. Your brother out here is making history.
Just want to say the truth is coming out, and I don't have a lot of time. Just want to say good night.
I love you, man. We're running out of battery on the cell phone. On that note, I love you. I love you. I love you. All I want you to do, I know you're in solitary confinement. You take care of yourself, and we are taking care of everything else. We're going to hold these people accountable by law. And you have a whole community that stands behind you. And I want to specifically thank Missy. I love you, ma'am. She sent me a song dedicated for Mustafa. And we're going to play the song. And on that note...
Even Julie Carey is
Julie Carey sent me a message. She says...
She's impressed by it.
She's impressed. She's tracking. She's watching. Julie Carey with NBC4.
She wants to know if it's...
I tell you, ma'am, it's not personal. It's not personal. You and me, we have a working relationship. I want you to goddamn do your job. Is that too much to ask? Is that too much to ask?
I mean, you're giving her the information.
I'm giving you the document, the body cam.
The information.
Everything is...
With the supporting documents.
With the supporting document. It's not allegations.
You're doing her job for her.
You know, it's not my word against the police department. I'm giving you the documentation. All I'm asking is for you to do your job and report on what's going on.
Reporting that you've butchered.
Otherwise, I'm going to file a defamation lawsuit. I'm a paralegal. I know how to write a motion. And I'm going to file a cease and desist. Is that the route that you want to take? Show me that you're reporting on the story. Report on what's happening. And if you don't, I promise you I'm going to fix it. I will file those papers. I will file those motions. I don't want to. The truth is, I do like you, ma'am. We do have a working relationship. But you showed me that you're a piece of shit. What else can I tell this community? You want me to lie to this community and say you're not a piece of shit? Show me. Show this community that you're doing your job. Let me play that song, Mustafa, on that note.
2 years in a cell, no trial, no voice. Truth buried deep, but we ain't got no choice. They tried to erase her, break them apart, but we scream free Mustafa. from the soul, from the heart. They falsified the paper, twisted every word, turned the car crash to murder, like justice never heard. Dorothy and Empress, angels.
Thank you for joining this podcast. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa, through the police body cams, Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope. Mustafa, thank you for being here. I love you, man. I'm going to have Mom talk to you and the rest of the family.
Drowning in pain from the cell block to the street, we'll never stop till the walls fall down and the charges drop. Free Mustafa, it's more than a name, it's a movement, a mission, exposing the game to Trump and Cash. Hear our cry, bring the truth to light, let the innocent fly. Amy Ashworth, playing judge and the jury in a county so dirty, soaked in fury. Police in the courts all in on the plot. They framed an innocent man and left his soul to rot. But his family's out marching, banners held high, while supporters flood timelines, refusing to lie. They want silence, give them the storm. Truth blazing through like justice reborn. Every post, every chant, every sleepless night is a spark in the dark that's ready to ignite. This ain't just